Round one. Fight!
Piece of me? I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing.
Hey guys, what's going on? So I noticed that the little stinger there was for best and worst movies. We did that a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't have time to go edit the little stinger out. But we're best and worst horror movies is what we're actually doing, so there's no confusion there. But yeah. So anyways, yeah, I'm excited to talk horror movies. We got a pretty cool panel tonight, so I'm just gonna go around the horn. I'm gonna introduce everyone. So. Joining us tonight, we got Marc Edward Heuck. How you doing?
Glad to be here, talking about one of my favorite topics.
Right on, right on. And Austin, how you doing?
I'm great, man. Happy to be here talking about my favorite genre of movies, horror movies, a genre that has no limits, and which is why I love it so much. You can do just about anything. That's why I love it so much. But yeah, excited to be talking about it.
Yep, for sure. And then we got Anthony Tisdall. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm still jamming to that intro a little bit here. That was I'm feeling that. No, I'm looking forward to this. This is fun. Love horror. 2000's horror has a lot of stuff going on, so this is gonna be fun. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and actually, funny enough, I'm probably the one that's seen the least of these. I've seen about 3/4 of them, but I haven't seen everyone on the list. So I mean, but I'm going to talk about the ones that I've seen and the ones that I love. So I'm excited to do that. One of the things I kind of want. Well, actually, a couple of things I wanted to mention up top. So I don't know if you guys heard the news. We had some sad news that someone passed away. The rapper DMX. So I just wanted to mention that up top. He's one of my favorite musicians of all time. I listened to him back in high school. I mean, he had so many great songs. I mean, he had like Party Up in Here. He had the Rough Riders anthem, like. Where the Hood At, like all those classic songs. So R.I.P. DMX. We definitely lost a music legend this week. So, and then also too, I wanted to just go around the horn. So there's so many different types of different horror movies. So like everyone has different preferences when it comes to horror. So you got like classic slasher movies. You have supernatural horror movies. You have like some gothic horror. You have like the psychological thrillers. I mean, there's so many different types, but my personal favorite is the supernatural. I just kind of gravitate to that more. That's kind of what I grew up on, watching all the supernatural stuff. But I mean, I'm just gonna kind of go around the horn, see what everyone's into. What's your favorite type? And also before we do it, we got Shauna. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, there she is.
Greetings.
Hi.
Good to have you. So yeah,
Tired, but I can do this.
right? Yeah, it's a little late over there for you, but
yeah,
we appreciate you joining us, though, for sure. But yeah, we're just gonna go around the horn and have everyone mention their favorite genre when it comes to horror movies. I mean, you got slashers, you got supernatural, you got psychological. There's so many different types. So, but Marc, what kind of horror movies do you kind of gravitate to? What do you like?
Well, when people ask me what my desert island movies are, one that one of my Desert Island 5 is the original Suspiria by Dario Argento. So
Okay.
I guess I'm probably predisposed to supernatural horror, the stuff where it's something that cannot be reasoned with. It often cannot be assigned to logic. It's just a situation imposed upon you that needs to be, survived and outwitted.
Right, for sure.
Because I think after that, I think the best horror film of all time is probably Robert Wise's original version of The Haunting. I really enjoy that, and I guess that also, depending on how you interpret the events of that movie, that's either a supernatural event or a psychological horror, because the ghosts may or may not exist.
Right. And when you mention Suspiria, that soundtrack is one of my favorite soundtracks when it comes to horror movie music. So I always throw that on from time to time. So
my first viewing of Suspiria was during a 24-hour horror marathon at the Drexel North in Columbus, Ohio, back in the early 90s. And that was a life-changing experience for me. At 1:30 in the morning with that soundtrack pounding, and it was a revelation. That I would say that I had always had a tangential interest in horror, but after that, it was like the corner turned and I became a full-fledged devotee. I don't live the gimmick the way a lot of horror fans do, so to speak, because I'm a cinematic omnivore. I'll watch just about anything, but I definitely really appreciate the loyalty and the open-mindedness of the horror community.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely have always been a fan of your nickname in the Schmodown. You're the Enigma, and that name really applies to a lot of these horror movies too. Like they're Enigma,
Well, that they imposed upon me. I did not choose that nickname.
Okay, right.
I'll accept it, but that was not how I would have gone.
In my book, Marc will always be the movie geek. He is the movie geek from Beat the Geeks, and you will always be the movie geek to me.
You're the one who watched the show.
I watched the show. Oh, very much. I watched the reruns after I'd already seen them. I love Beat the Geek. So being on here, I'm not trying to fanboy, Marc. I'm not trying to fanboy on you, but you're one of my inspirations for being a super movie geek. So I just got to get that out of the way. And being a movie geek, and I loved it.
Well, I know you had a short window to watch those reruns because they're never coming back.
It's a shame. They should put them out somewhere, at least on a streaming service or something. It's a shame.
They'd have to pay us residuals for those reruns, and they'd rather bury them in the ground and salt the earth. It's not coming back.
It's a damn shame.
We'll throw it to Anthony. So, what kind of horror movies do you usually?
I feel like I'm between two. I like the psychological horror, the stuff that actually could happen. Things that might be like The Descent, like The Strangers thing, like obviously the end of The Descent, maybe not so much, but like being trapped, that claustrophobic kind of idea. The idea of somebody just, you don't know what's happening. It's okay, buddy. Sorry, my cat's no, like something like that, but also even more so, it's not really horror, but the tongue-in-cheek horror, the kind of the comedic horror. Like there is a lot of horror elements to it, but it has that, that entertainment factor, like a Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, like Trick or Treat have, stuff like that. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. When you can combine comedy and horror, two things that a lot of people find as two opposite ends of the spectrum, and bring them together like perfectly in a movie, takes a lot of skill, and that's my kind of thing. I mean, I'll watch any of them, obviously, but that's the ones I gravitate toward more than anything else.
Right, and when you mentioned Tucker and Dale versus Evil, so we're only going from 2000 2009. Right. That one came out in 2010. So like that's one of those horror movies I absolutely love, and so it'll definitely be on a future upcoming show for sure, because we're going to cover all the different decades eventually. The goal is actually we're going to cover one decade per month all the way up until Halloween, and then we're going to do a championship match of all the top 10 lists. We're going to pit them against each other and see what the best horror movie of all time is. So yeah, it should be fun.
It's a slick idea. I like it.
Yeah. So we'll throw it over to Shauna. What kind of horror movies do you usually gravitate to? What's your favorite?
Wait, what's his name? Anthony.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love funny horror films. Absolutely love. But zombie films would be my favorite. But I don't know if you guys would know, like Shaun of the Dead. You know, Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree there. But I'm
Classic.
not into the psychological ones, but they're the ones that I get most anxious watching. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
Go back.
Yeah, for sure. But how about you, Austin? What's your go-to for horror movies?
I've come to really appreciate, I love creature features, I love slasher movies, things like that, but I've come to really appreciate something that truly scares me, which to me is paranoia horror. And I'll give it anything sort of like one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's quickly climbing the list, is the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And to me, the Body Snatchers stuff, or The Thing, to me, there's nothing more horrifying than when you can't trust anybody around you, or when the people you knew yesterday are not the people you know the next day. That is more terrifying to me than if there's a monster. Okay, the threat is there. I can see it. I could possibly fight it. If there's a psycho killer, he's right there. I can see that. If I can't see or trust, or I don't know who's who around me, and the paranoia of that scares me more than anything. If I woke up the next day and my family was not my family anymore, or if my friends were not my friends anymore, and something had taken over them, that is terrifying to me. So I've come to really appreciate that sort of genre. Body Snatchers, The Thing, things like that, where you can't trust anyone. That scares me more than anything.
Right, for sure. Yeah, well,
Good answer.
that being said, we'll just jump right into it. So we have a little set of rules here that just kind of help the show kind of move a little more smoothly, and I'll throw them up here real quick. So the rules are, and let me move the little logo up there. So the rules are: let's have a good, clean fight. Please do not talk or shout over each other. Please do be respectful of others' opinions. Each person will take turns to select a movie for ranking. The person who selected the movie will have up to 2 minutes to explain which tier they think it should go into and why. All other participants will then have roughly 1 minute to say why they agree or disagree, and may suggest a new ranking. And then the host, which will be me, will decide on a ranking that averages out everyone's opinions and asks if the proposed ranking is acceptable. And at that point, we can have a little bit of a debate as to where we want to rank it, and like some little kind of just like last minute thoughts about things. So yeah. So I'm going to bring up our tier ranker here. Let's see. Give me one quick second. Got it right. All right. So I'm gonna just kind of break it down how it all works for people who haven't seen the show before, maybe haven't done something like this. So basically, we just rank it on a scale of S being superior. And then it just basically goes A, B, C, D, E, and F. And then there's a few that, like, if you think maybe one of them may not be quite horror, or there's one nobody's seen, we can throw it in that category. And then for the S tier, we're only going to allow 10 movies in the S tier, but then the rest we can just kind of have at it. So, and then I'm just going to do a little slow scroll. You can kind of see these are our movies from the 2000s. And if you have any questions as to what the thumbnail actually is, I mean, you can always ask me. I'll let you know. But this is basically what we're working with. So that's the list there. And usually as the host, I usually elect to go last. And so we'll just throw it to the opposite side of the screen. So we're going to start with Shauna. We'll let you go first, and you can just pick any movie on the list that you want to talk about, and let us know where you want to rank it. And so yeah, just go for it. And I'll kind of scroll through them a little bit so you can see.
I can't see a thing. It's so small. So like, air it in like yeah.
Or if you can pull up the list on your messenger, or pull that back up, and then we can find it on here. Just
it's probably
we'll
you can
find
do
it
it that
for
way
you.
too, because if I try to zoom in any more, it just puts it into like scrolling mode. So I mean, you can see it this way, but it's hard to to see it that way. So I'm going to keep it like that. That's about as big as I can get it. So.
No, that's fine.
Or if there's just a movie you remember from the list that you maybe a S tier movie you want to nominate, something like that, we'll find it for you.
So the one movie that like scared the bejesus out of me was The Grudge, and I remember that from you. And I mean, I had nightmares.
Oh yeah.
That for years.
Here it is.
So for her coming up out of bed, that was I couldn't like had to tuck my feet under the covers for so long. So it's one that struck me when I read the list. Anyway, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that one. So I'll put that out there. It wasn't one of the best ones now, though, I have to say. So let me just have a look.
So where would you want to rank it then on a scale from like S and then A through F? What do you think is a solid spot for it if you were to rank it?
I don't know. Hang on. Sorry.
Decisions.
I'd say C because it still scared me, but it wasn't. I was very young when I seen it, I suppose.
Yeah, right. So we'll go on the horn, see what you guys think. So Austin, what do you think of The Grudge?
Yeah, I kind of go with like a C tier. I'm not big on J horror. That kind of stuff doesn't really scare me that much because it's a lot of just cutting away to somebody, to some kind of scary image and then popping back. And just to me, a lot of these remakes that they've done, like The Ring or like The Grudge, I just don't hold up as well as the original Japanese movies. And just The Grudge, I thought it was a good premise, both the Japanese and the original one. I don't think the execution was the greatest. And the fact that don't they kill Bill Pullman in like the first 10 minutes? That's a crime against humanity. Yeah. It's horrible. Like, how do you waste that? But so yeah, I'm not a big fan of The Grudge, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, it's not horrible, but a C tier seems pretty fair to me.
Yeah, what do you think, Anthony, of The Grudge?
This seems, I think C's fair. There was I think the first time I saw it, I was like, this movie's horrifying. That kid is not cool, and I am not okay with it. But after like the second, third time watching, I was like, okay, it's really not a great movie. It's a fairly well done movie, but it's definitely middle of the ranking. I wouldn't put it much lower than a C. It's still fun. It still has its moments of scary. So C tier, I believe, is a fair option.
Yeah, what do you think, Mark, of The Grudge?
I did not see the American version of The Grudge. I did see the original Ju-On, and I thought that was pretty effective and rattled me. So I have to respectfully abstain.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. And for me, like the thing that always got me with the Grudge is the noise that the girl would make. She would just be like, I'll do some AMSR for you, but with the Grudge noise. But yeah, so like that always got at me. But I enjoyed it for what it was, especially like when you have the little Japanese boy like coming down the stairs and he's doing the weird little crab walk down the stairs kind of thing. That always kind of freaked me out too. And but I think that like C is probably fair. I mean, I could go B, but I mean, I'm probably happy with a C. I think that's probably fair enough. So I think the consensus seems to be about a C. So we'll just go with that. So Austin, you're up. You want to pick one?
All right. Well, I may be alone in this one, but we'll find out very quickly. But I'm going to go for the throat early. I'm the Rob Zombie fanboy. Let's get Devil's Rejects up in that S tier, and I'm going to argue for it. All
right. So where do you think it belongs and why?
S tier, baby. I think to this day, I'm a Rob Zombie fan. All of his movies have not been complete hits, but I think the guy's really ambitious. I think he knows how to film. He's become pretty accomplished for what he does. But Devil's Rejects is superior to this day. It's still his best film. It's critically his best film. Even Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4, which was astonishing to me. I thought he would crap all over this movie, but it's pretty good. But I think it fits right in with like a 70s grindhouse revenge exploitation movie. What I like about it over House of a Thousand Corpses, and I still like House of a Thousand Corpses, but what I like more is that it's a little more grounded than House of a Thousand was, to where it's just these guys on a run, these psychos, but you also add in the Sheriff Lydell element, the William Forsythe character, so you actually have somebody to bounce off of, like somebody you can kind of root for. But what Rob Zombie does brilliantly throughout the movie is as bad as these Devil's Rejects are, as Sid Haig and Bill Moseley and Sherry Moon are, is that he almost pulls it, not quite, but like to where you're almost rooting for them over the sheriff by the end of the movie. He kind of almost pulls that 180, which is really interesting. So to where you're almost rooting for these murderers and psychopaths, but it's really well shot. The acting is tremendous. The screenplay is actually pretty good, very memorable, a lot of great lines, and I think everybody's just tremendous. So Devil's Rejects, man, I think it's one of the best horror movies of the 2000s.
All right. Anthony, what do you think? The Devil's Rejects.
S is a strong opinion. I respect it. It is strong. I would go slightly below. I'm looking at the list and kind of get an idea. I would probably go A tier. It was one of Rob Zombie's best by far. I still like House of a Thousand Corpses slightly better, but I did recently rewatch Devil's Rejects for something, and I do appreciate a lot of it. Yes, the sheriff, you absolutely hate. You basically hate everyone in this movie. By the end of the movie, if anyone survives, you're kind of like, well, that was dumb because they all suck. But I do I thought it was, like you said, well shot. It was an entertaining movie, and Sid Haig is fantastic in his role, and all of the villains are really good. So I would say A tier as a 2000s horror, but I don't know if I could. I wouldn't rank it as high.
All right, yeah. So, but an A. What do you think, Mark? The Devil's Reject.
I would put it in the A tier and not necessarily the S tier. I also am I have not seen all of Zombie's work, but what I've seen, I've generally liked. I'm in the peculiar position where I like his Halloween better than Halloween 2, even though most people think that Halloween 2 is the better movie. I feel like he's got this underappreciated humanism that is in his best movies like Devil's Rejects and the first Halloween, where he really is able to get into the lives of misfits and depict them with empathy. And in the case of Devil's Rejects, it's like, the casting is impeccable on it. It's like, every great cult actor that worth their salt is in there. And also, it is very much the ultimate drive-in movie in that he had the budget to spring for the kind of soundtrack that you would be listening to on your car radio while you had the speaker hanging in the window at the same time. That it is just the best fusion of all of the better elements of grindhouse filmmaking. And as said already, that it's not so much a matter of good guys and bad guys. It's like the least despicable people to root for. That the Firefly family are murderers and sadistic, but they have a code versus this increasingly delinquent sheriff who will do anything and step over anybody in order to bring them in, and it becomes less about a crusade and more just about a vendetta. And still, I don't know how many, if any, films used Freebird before then, but to me, it's the most iconic use of the song.
Agreed. Man, that sounds like a great argument for S tier, man. Sounds like you're agreeing with me.
I am giving it an A and not an S because as horror, it does not scare me. I mean, it repulses to some degree. I think that, for S tier level, it has got to be both a terrific movie, but legitimately scary. Because there are some movies that I think are legitimately brilliant, but they don't scare me. And Devil's Rejects is one of them where I'm enjoying it. I'm recoiling at the violence, but I'm not like at it.
Fair enough.
Right. Well, for me, like, I tend to want to give it maybe more even like a C, but what kind of bumps it up for me because. Well, actually, first off, I'll just say, like, I'm not a huge fan of like over the top blood and gore. I just don't. It doesn't really like really appeal that much to me. But for the casting in the movie and the music, like, really got me pretty pumped up and excited when I was watching it. So I mean, for that, I could probably bump it up to a solid B. Like, that's probably where I would put it personally. But What do you think, Shauna? Have you seen The Devil's Rejects? What do you think?
I didn't like it because obviously it was just blood and gore, like, and it just made me sick, like, a little bit. It wasn't scary. It just was like, ew, like, the fuck. Sorry.
Right.
So I didn't like it at all. So sorry about that.
Yeah, but
fair enough. But I think there's a lot more going on than just blood and gore. There's a lot of great characterization going on in that movie, and there's some legitimately good acting and a great revenge movie, you know, exploitation movie going on there. You know, I think something like a Hostel might be considered more straight blood and gore to me personally. I think there's a lot more going on in something like Devil's Rejects.
Right. So, I mean, I've heard a few solid A tiers, so I think A is probably about.
A's fair enough. I'm okay with that. Yeah,
a good average to with the group here. So yeah, we'll go with A, but we'll throw it over to Anthony. What do you got?
Right. I know what I'm going for because there's like 3 on this list that I'm just eyeing. So I'm gonna go with the one I think I would put in S tier because I absolutely love this movie. It scared me in numerous ways, not just in the pop scares, not just in specific psychological. It does everything right in a movie, and I'm going to try to put The Descent in the S tier because this movie is fantastically done. You start with it's right there with the skull looking thing next to Scream 3.
Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Yep.
You know, you get the 6 women, the 6 friends that just go do their normal. They spelunk. There's obviously like a little bit of hostility between 2 of them, but the claustrophobic aspect of this for so long in the movie already gives you that tension that starts to create issues between them alone. And then it's only like the last 30 minutes of the movie that these creatures appear. And then you get kind of the pop scares, and then they just start knocking out one by one. And the first time I saw this movie, I was like, this is really well done. I appreciate it. You feel the claustrophobic while you're sitting at home watching it. They really do a good job of showing how small spaces these are. And then the creatures themselves aren't like super out of control. Like, it's a dark area. You don't know what's in there. It's a place that's never been explored. You don't know what could live in here. And they're kind of like human bat hybrid things, which you don't know. I don't go spelunking. I'm not doing that. That sounds horrible to me. I'm not getting caught somewhere. So if they exist, I'm not going to find them. But this movie to me, I thought was fantastic and one of my absolute favorites of the 2000s, horror or otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Mark, of The Descent?
I still have not seen The Descent, to my shame, because otherwise I'm a huge fan of Neil Marshall. I love Dog Soldiers. I love Doomsday. I haven't seen his take on Hellboy yet, but and so
you're fine.
But yeah, for me, I think Dog Soldiers was one of those tough cuts because we wanted to keep the list to about 50 movies. So I cut it last minute, and it kind of hurt me a little bit to cut it because I do like that movie too. But actually, so I just watched The Descent for the very first time 2 days ago in preparation for this show, and like I kind of like wasn't super high on it just because I thought that the first half was pretty slow. You don't really get to the cool like bat like human kind of like freaky golem looking creatures, but when those come in, like it's like pretty cool that and like pretty like scary to just have these creatures just lurking around it in the dark, and you have these friends that are literally trapped in like seemingly with no way out. So that makes for some pretty good tension in the movie. But for me, I think overall I'd probably give it about a B. That's just my thought. I mean, I thought that like some of it kind of looked a little campy to me, especially the first half. The second half was definitely the strong part for me. I will reiterate that. But Shauna, what do you think? Have you seen The Descent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have put it on A or B as well. I actually really like that film. It's very tense the whole way through. Yeah, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I did like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad.
What do you? Yeah. And what do you think, Austin? For The Descent?
So this is one of the ones I rewatched leading up to this show because I probably hadn't seen it in about 10 years. And as we all know, sometimes you can come back to a movie, after years, your tastes change, what you think about the movie might change over time. Man, I have to say, Anthony, you're right on. It's an S tier movie. It's awesome. This movie's so good. This movie, I didn't remember a whole lot of it when I went back into it. But yeah, the claustrophobia of the first, the cave diving stuff at the beginning it just sends chills up your spine when the girl's caught in the little corridor, and the cave's about to collapse. It's really, really tense. When one of the girls is climbing across that gapway, it's super, super tense. And then it takes like this From Dusk Till Dawn like turn, an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, and it becomes this crazy monster movie of them getting primal and trying to fight off these creatures, and it's just as awesome as the first half of the movie. And they actually fight back. They try to get out of there. They're trying to survive, which I like. They're not just becoming victims, and it's really, really great. And Anthony, you're right on. I will agree with you, full tier for S tier.
Thanks.
And usually I usually try and give a little more leeway to where we rank the movie to the person who actually chose it. We've had a couple some arguments for S, so I think probably we should leave it in the S tier for now, and we'll just kind of see where it falls. It may not stay in the S tier depending on what else we end up putting in there, because we're only going to allow 10 in there, but I do kind of feel like S tier is probably a solid choice.
Well, and eventually at the end, just to let everybody know, we try to get like a 10 with a couple of honorable mentions from the A's, and we may shift them around. So it may end up like near low S tier, but still in the S tier, things like that. So we'll try to shift them around and see what happens. But yeah, for sure. Love the Descent.
Yeah, so we'll throw it over to Mark. So it's your turn, and what do you got?
Okay. I'm hoping I'm not going to be bigfooting too much on Shauna, but I need to nominate Shaun of the Dead. I feel like it is.
There you go.
I feel like it is that rare combination of outright comedy and legitimate scares and social commentary. It is functioning on so many levels at once and doing all of them brilliantly. That it's figuring out how to have a laugh and a gasp within the same 30 seconds, that you're legitimately caught up with the characters, that it's that there are certain horror movies where you are watching to see people suffer and you relish when they're finally going to get theirs. But when you go through this movie, when we lose a character to the zombie horde, it is always affecting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, like I would 100% agree with you with the S tier. Like it's just hard for me to really put anything that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost do together not in an S tier, because I just love those two. They're one of my favorite duos in the world, really. Like I just love those two together, and just the great combination of the scares with the humor, and there's just so many great moments, especially when they first notice that they're starting to have this zombie outbreak. They're like throwing the records in their backyard, and they got the cricket bat, and they're just like doing whatever they can to survive, but doing it in a pretty funny way that's still pretty effective to the movie. It doesn't really seem too cheesy or anything. So yeah, I would definitely agree with the S tier.
Yeah, it is hard to do comedy and horror, especially you bring up the records. That anyone else doing that gag where they have to choose which records they're going to throw, it could feel forced and like, oh, somebody thought this was funny in the boiler room, but it is a very hard one to execute, but they pull it off because you sense like these are people who do value their music, even though they are trying to fight for their lives.
Yep, definitely. So Shauna, we'll throw it to you. What do you think of Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah, I didn't think you were going to take that serious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that film. I love them too as well. Yeah, so they're really good. And I find there's very little touching moments as well between the two of them too in it. Like, so I love it. Yeah. So good. Yeah, S tier all the way. Woohoo.
All right, awesome. What do you think?
Yeah,
Austin?
no, I definitely agree. Full tilt. Shaun of the Dead is brilliant. It's great. I think almost everybody watches it, falls in love with it, and there's so many things you can fall in love with it. You can fall in love with the romance stuff in the movie, yeah, the family aspects, the dynamics. You can watch it as a straight zombie movie, and it still works as that. I think the whole sequence where the outbreak happens and he's still going through his routine, going to the little shop on the corner and doesn't notice anything is one of the best little sequences ever. And he's just going about his day and just doesn't notice anything. It's so great. And it's not my personal favorite Edgar Wright movie. That goes to Hot Fuzz, but it doesn't mean I love Shaun of the Dead any less. I love Shaun of the Dead so much. It's so rewatchable. S tier all the way. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. What do you think, Anthony?
This is 100% an S tier movie. It's so good. It's so creative. And it's one of those movies that you watch it the first time, you're like, that was really funny. That was really good. Then you watch it the second time, you're like, oh, wait, that was interesting. The beginning scene has an exact same thing at the end. Then you watch it the third time, you're like, oh, wait, there's two more scenes that completely are the same at the beginning and end. They tell you the whole story at the beginning of the movie. It's very creative. It's very well written. And this is easy S tier.
All right, well, it's unanimous. Well, Shaun of the Dead S tier. So, yep. So now it's my turn.
All right, Jordan. The host is up. Let's go. What do you got?
So I know which one I want to pick. I just got to find the thumbnail here, but I want to go with one of the movies that legitimately scared me so bad that I couldn't sleep on the first night after I saw it, and that movie is The Strangers. So I gotta. Here it is. So yeah, The Strangers is like kind of more of like a psychological horror, I would say. Like these guys just kind of terrorizing this kind of like house, kind of out in the woods, out in the country, and you have a couple that are just like fresh off of their of getting married. They're kind of doing a little honeymoon getaway, and they get like completely terrorized, and just like seeing the like faces with the mask when they pop up in the window, and then see them actually in the house too, just really got my like heart pounding. I remember my heart was just racing. I just like, oh my gosh, because just to me, it just seems like it's something that's like so real that could actually happen to like anybody, and it just really freaked me out. So I mean, I would say S tier all the way for The Strangers, but we'll see what you guys think. We'll go, Shauna. What do you think of The Strangers?
Wasn't it based on a true story? Wasn't it based on something that actually happened? Wasn't it based on like the?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I loved that film. Yeah, that was pretty fucking scary, wasn't it? Yeah, the mask when she's looking through the door, like the camera through the door, and she just the blonde chick looks up. Jesus, yeah, no. And then when she's in the kitchen and that guy just walks by. Yeah, no, yeah. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't watch that.
I think that
I watch that on like no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good.
And I think that I legit had some bruises on my arm when I watched it with my wife, because she was just grabbing my arm so tightly that it's just like, like she was really scared. So, but what do you think, Austin?
I like The Strangers a lot. I don't know if I'd agree with S tier. I would probably go with a strong A, only because the movie is relentless. I mean, absolutely relentless once it gets going. I think it's a little too relentless, and you don't get really any moments of levity in it, which to me kind of hurts it just a tad. And it's also, it gets to a point where it's almost too mean-spirited, if that makes any sense. Like you get characters that don't fight back too much. They make bad decisions. It takes me out of the movie just a little bit, but I do like the part of the movie. Basically what gets me about that movie is the motivation of the strangers, essentially, when they're like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And they just say, you were home. And that terrifies me. Again, it's like, oh, you just happen to be the ones that were home. Like, that's pretty horrifying. So I like a lot of things about this movie. It works in a lot of levels. To me, it's not quite S tier just because it doesn't have a lot of rewatchability for me. And that kind of adds to when I put something in like an S tier best of all time, it needs to have at least a little bit of rewatchability. And it's a hard watch, just for me personally.
Yeah, what do you think, Anthony?
I'm gonna agree with Austin again a little bit on this one. I think I really enjoy this movie. It does have that psychological thriller aspect that I enjoy in the horror movies, and it is just an interesting take of why are they doing this? Because why not? Basically, you guys were home. This is what's happening. It is a little difficult to take Glenn Howerton in a serious role and being murdered after watching It's Always Sunny for like seasons. I'm like, why are you here? You don't belong here. But he does what he needs to do. And there's just a couple moments in the movie. It's like, Liv Tyler's gone. She's in the woods. She sees 3 people in the house. And then she's like, you know what's a good idea? I'm going to go back. I mean,
yeah. It almost kills the movie for me. Almost kills the movie. It
makes a bad decision.
It's such a bad decision.
That one decision takes us out of S tier for me. Puts it in the A. But it is a great movie. I do enjoy it. But A-ish. A for me.
A strong A. Strong A.
Yeah. But what do you think, Mark, for The Strangers?
I've not seen The Strangers. I have to abstain, but I feel like I need to interject the fact that the essential finish of The Strangers is, it owes a little bit to one of my favorite Richard Pryor bits where he was talking about filming Stir Crazy in an actual prison and talking to other inmates and having to rethink his ideas about incarceration, where he said, "Why did you kill everybody in the house? They were home."
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
for sure. And for me, I saw The Strangers first before I ever saw It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So when I watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I had the opposite effect. I was like, oh, this is the guy from The Strangers. This is kind of like a weird feeling. Yeah. But
could he have used the dentist system to outwit them?
Right.
That movie goes beyond that tier if he does that. If he does that, that movie is in another tier altogether.
But I do feel like we had a few solid arguments for A tier, so I think probably A tier is about.
I think A tier is fair because it's a great movie. It's just out of there. And Mark, it's a good. You got to at least see it once. It's worth at least one watch. Sure.
It's come from people I trust, so I will eventually get around to it.
Yep, for sure. So we're gonna throw it back to Shauna. So you're up again. So what do you got?
So I love 28 Days Later. So I put that in.
Okay.
A maybe, not S, I suppose. But I love it. Like, I love zombie films. I love the whole having to like go out and like kind of like apocalypse, kind of you're running from zombies and stuff. I love it. So I thought that was great. So yeah, I like that one. If you want to talk about that one.
Yeah, definitely. So Austin, what do you think? 28 Days Later.
I'd actually go S tier for 28 Days Later. It was going to be one of the ones I would nominate for because I think the filmmaking is genius in that movie. The fact that they were able to clear out parts of London, even just for those, that hour or so, they were able to get all that footage. And when Cillian Murphy's just wandering around this city and it legitimately looks like it's abandoned. There's nobody around. There's trash all over the place. That stuff is great. I don't want to be that geek, Shauna, but it's not a zombie movie. It's a rage virus. They're not dead. But, I'm not going to be that geek. But it doesn't make the movie any less. It's great. But that movie is terrifying. It's very, very scary. Some of those sequences in the stairwells, in the tunnel, when they're trying to get the tire changed and they're trying to get out of there. Again, it's another movie that kind of becomes almost this primal rage movie in the last 30 minutes where it's just people fighting people, but it's still good. It's extremely well done. The guerrilla filmmaking aspect of it is very good. Danny Boyle did a great job with this movie. I'd argue for S tier, honestly, even more than Shauna.
Yeah, totally. But what do you think, Anthony? 28 Days Later.
Yeah, this one goes into S for me as well. I really enjoyed this. It kind of came out of left field for me. It's like, oh, it's a zombie movie, and you know what? I'm still gonna call it a zombie movie because I think the rage virus kills him and then it becomes zombies. So, Shauna, I got your back. But it's impressive. It's really a creative concept, and then you still have like the human element where there are bad people still in it, and they're military. They're the people you expect to help you, and they don't. So all the acting's really good. I feel like it's a very well done, and it does give the way it's filmed, as you said, it's more gritty, which makes it that much better. It really feels like you're in that realm instead of something that's poppy and colorful, because that's not what the apocalypse is going to look like. So yeah, this
it almost feels like a found footage movie that's not a found footage movie, the way it's filmed.
A little bit.
Which is really interesting when you watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think, Mark?
I have to take this to the S tier as well. You know, that it again manages that precarious balance of outright scares, invested characters, and social commentary all at once, where it augments the already nightmarish scenario of, as Ruggiero Deodato would say, infected people, and then throws in the fact that the authorities that are supposed to be on top of things cannot be trusted. I mean that's a common trope in many infected people movies, but it is done so well here. So
yeah, and for me, I would just echo all of you guys. Like I said, S tier all the way. Like this is one of the movies, probably like the top 5 scariest movies I've ever seen in my life. Like this movie scared me so bad that like I have not even seen 28 Weeks Later because I'm like really nervous to watch it because I got so scared watching the first one that I'm like I don't know if I can do it, but I'll eventually get around to watching it for sure when I kind of have a free night. So because I'll probably end up being up most of the night after watching it, But yeah, like, and how they do the zombies is like you're definitely right that they're like rage monster or rage virus, whatever you want to call it, and like they're not just zombies, they're like angry zombies that are running as fast as they can. They're super angry, like they're just like pissed, and like those are the kind of things I have nightmares about all the time, and it's just like really really scared me. So yeah, I'd say S tier all the way. So yeah, I think S is the perfect spot for it. So. We'll leave it at S tier, and then we'll throw it over to Austin. You're up again. What do you got?
All right, so we'll keep rolling with S tier nominations just so we can get them up there. Maybe we'll talk about some bad stuff later. But I'm gonna nominate Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead for S tier.
All right, there you go. All right, so where do you want to rank it?
Now, S tier. I think as much as I love the 1978 Dawn of the Dead, and I think is the superior of the two still when you put them up against each other, I don't think that takes anything away from the 2004 Dawn of the Dead. I think it's still, when you talk about great remakes, it's right up there. And one of the reasons why you can make a great remake, it keeps the core premise of the movie, these survivors of a zombie apocalypse, huddling down on a mall, and actually does some different things with it. So I think the opening, the rapid escalation of the opening 10, 15 minutes of that movie is so well done. I mean, it literally goes from them, the couple of the movie, sleeping, then there's this girl that's infected, then the husband gets infected, she stumbles out, then goes to her car, and the world has just gone into chaos, and she's trying to get to her car, and there's people running all over the place. It's a very scary sequence. I mean, Mark, you want to talk about scary? Like, that's terrifying. You're just thrown right into this craziness. Once the movie settles down, you still get a good group of characters in the mall, which I think is good. A lot of really solid actors, some solid premises. You get the stuff with the gun store owner across the street and them communicating with the boards. You get the really great chase sequences with the buses at the end. I think there's some really great visual filmmaking, and Zack Snyder really, I think, hit a grand slam with his debut. And I love this movie. It's immensely rewatchable. I think it's S level.
Yeah. What do you think, Anthony? Dawn of the Dead.
I swear I'm not doing this to you on purpose, but this one I'm also going to put just below it at the A. Okay. I think Zack Snyder is probably Zack Snyder's best work. It is a lot of fun, but it also feels like it's basically just coming off the heels of 28 Days Later. It basically is a poppier version of it, is how I see it. There are some points that are, zombie baby, a little excessive. There's some points that are just there for a straight, like, more comedic effect. That I didn't appreciate as much as I appreciated in 28 Days Later. The movie itself is fun. Like you said, it is rewatchable as anything. If it's on, it's fun. And you can put it on at any time. But the running zombies, it feels like it's kind of just a rehash of the 28 Days, just not as as I thought, well done. But The Mall is good. There's a lot of good actors, so I would definitely say A. I just wouldn't put it as high up and put it in the same realm as the 28 Days Later. But still very good, very watchable movie.
Yeah, what do you think, Mark, for Dawn of the Dead?
Another gaping hole in my horror ography. I've not seen it, but I'll tip my hat to the fact that this was the movie that convinced Universal to give George Romero real money to make Land of the Dead. So,
yeah, right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for me, I just watched this movie actually yesterday in preparation for this for the very first time, and I loved it. Like I would probably agree with Austin. I'd say that it's S tier, and for me, like I love the cast. I mean, you have Ving Rhames, you have Mekhi Phifer in there, you have like Ty Burrell from Modern Family in there. So like a pretty solid cast, and that opening sequence just kind of blew me away. Like I thought that it was awesome, and just all the things they have to go through while they're held up in the mall. Like I think that it's a lot of fun. I even recognize the actor who plays the dad from the movie Chronicle. I don't know his name, but he's one of the security guys in that. But yeah. So yeah, I'd say definite S tier. Like it's one of the better zombie movies I've ever seen before. So yeah. But we'll throw it over to Shauna. What do you think, Dawn of the Dead?
I would have said S tier for me as well. Like the reason why I put 28 Days Later in A tier was because Dawn of the Dead I preferred, because it was a bit easier to watch and it was a bit funnier and it was so yeah, S tier for me. One of my favorite films.
All right.
Yay!
Okay, I think we got enough S tiers that we'll leave it in S tier for now. And then yeah.
What's that?
Right. But we'll throw it over to Anthony. What do you got next?
All right, you guys, we've had fun. We've gotten all our S tiers, we've gotten some A tiers. I'm going with an F tier because you know what? At some point, we gotta get these out of the way. And I'm looking at it right there. It is gigantic, and it sadly has Ryan Reynolds in it, and that is the Amityville Horror. That was a this remake. It was horrible. The only thing it made me do was want to eat only chicken and broccoli and work out every day. That is the only thing this movie did for me. I like Ryan Reynolds in a lot of good, like creepy movies. The voices and he's very good, but Amityville Horror is it's not a good movie, and it was disappointing that it wasn't good. It was an unnecessary remake. Let's throw that at the bottom, and I'm just gonna make sure no one else has to say that later.
All right. Well, what do you think, Mark, for Amityville Horror? Do you think it's that bad of a movie?
Well, I didn't see it, and I'm not particularly chuffed to seek it out. So,
right. Yeah, for me, like, I enjoyed it for what it was. Like my favorite genre of horror movies is the supernatural horror movie. So, I mean, I don't think that it's quite as bad as F tier, but we are right though. Like it wasn't really a great movie. I mean, I would probably give it about a D. I mean, it did creep me out a little bit, but at the same time, there's a lot of kind of campy cheesiness in it too. So I mean, I go with a D though. That's my solid pick. But what do you think, Shauna? Are you still with us?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, no.
Oh, you're good.
I hate it. I don't like Ryan Reynolds in a lot of shit, to be honest. He's very I don't get it. So yeah, not at all. Nope. So yeah,
they're kind of throwing in Ryan Reynolds into everything these days. Like he's all over the place. So. but what do you think, Austin?
Yeah, that movie's a piece of shit. It stinks. We just talked about a really good example of a remake with Dawn of the Dead. Anthony, you don't agree that it's S tier, but you can at least agree that it's really good. Yeah, this is an example of a shitty remake, and there's been a lot of those. But yeah, this is a really bad movie, and I'm not even that big of a fan of the original. I think the original is like okay, but the fact that they've squeezed that Amityville franchise, if you look at it on Wikipedia, there's like 25 movies that try to do put Amityville in their title and have tried to do this thing, and most of them are pretty bad. Like, they should just give it a rest. And it's this movie's bad. I have to agree with F tier. It's probably, I might argue it might be the worst movie on this list, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a whole lot that are worse. We'll see, but it's down there for sure.
I thought you were going to do E tier just to spite me for putting A tier on all your estimates.
No. I actually agree with you. We're pretty close. We just have little slight differences, but yeah, we're pretty good. No, that movie sucks. It's bad.
Yeah, like and supposedly it's like loosely based on a true story, but they made so many remakes. Who knows which one? Like what details actually happened or not? I don't know. Like, who knows? Huh?
Well,
But,
in fairness, I believe that the thing is that the Amityville Horror is the first version of or not the first, but there's like the original trilogy, and then there's all the made-for-TV spin-offs, and this was the first one that be quote-unquote sanctioned by anybody involved with the original. So
right,
because the rights have skewed in that some people own the characters, but some parties own the house. Or I don't know how it breaks down.
Right.
Because there was a fight. I think initially there were two different studios that were going to do Amityville movies, and finally they said, okay, we're going to have to just get together and make one, because it was MGM and the Wine and Dimension that did the first this Amityville Horror movie, and then Dimension on their own did that one from 2017 with I think Jennifer Jason Leigh that got theatrically released in Mexico, but otherwise went straight to VOD here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that movie was stuck in limbo for like a long time. It was like done and in the can, and they just put it on VOD like last year, right? Something like that. It took forever to even come out. The Jennifer Jason Leigh one, I mean.
Yeah. I think it was 2017. Like, it went to VOD, but I happened to be in Mexico City while it was playing theatrically, and like a fool, I didn't go.
Oh,
I mean, I don't care how awful it may be. I should have gone.
Right. But yeah, I think that's a solid spot. We gotta rank the bad ones and the good ones. So yeah, we'll get that one out of there. So we'll throw
Mark.
it back to
Okay,
Mark. Well,
I'm going to do something unusual here. When I was looking over this list, I could not, for the life of me, remember if I saw Darkness Falls. And I feel like I did, but if I did, I am going to rank it an E. Yeah, because I can't say that it's awful, but to quote one of my favorite lines from Warrior, I remember it as being very unmemorable. That I read the synopsis again to try and see, and I thought, well, that sounds familiar, but did I actually see those scenes, or am I just remembering scenes like them from better movies? So, but I feel like let's get that off the table.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think this is one of the almost one of the worst ones on the list. Like the only thing that I think that really has going for it is that if you just showed this to kids, you could just do away with the Tooth Fairy because they'd have nightmares forever. But I mean, like, not really very much is really memorable about it. I mean, but I probably wouldn't really rank it F tier either, just because like it was campy enough that I still had a little bit of fun with it. But like, it's one of those movies that's so campy that I just kind of had a little bit of fun a little bit with it. So I mean, I'd probably rank it a solid D for me. But I mean, I definitely understand the case for E and F. So I mean, I wouldn't be mad if it went there. But what do you think, Shauna, for Darkness Falls?
I kind of liked it. So
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I kind of like shitty horror films. Like, I like watching them. I like bad ones. Maybe a D. Okay, D. Okay, because fair, it is quite bad. But
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, we got a couple arguments for D. So, but what do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I did see this in the theater. I do remember seeing it. It's not the worst of all time, just because it has a pretty solid opening sequence that I still remember to this day, where it's like the kids' mom or dad gets taken away by the tooth fairy creature, and it's pretty well done. But after that, it becomes this weird revenge movie that's like half horror, half revenge. Yeah, I have a soft spot too for like kind of bad PG-13 horror movies that are, you can at least get some enjoyment out of it on that level and just kind of laugh and have fun with it. It's not a great movie, but I think a D or E is pretty fair because yeah, it's not good, but it's not as miserable of an experience as the Amityville Horror. I'll put it that way.
Right. Yeah. What do you think, Anthony? For Darkness Fall.
It's where it should be. Marc couldn't have said it better. It's just I don't remember it because I don't care that much. Like I kind of do, and I enjoy a bad horror movie as much as the next person. But sometimes when they try too hard to make it a horror movie and it turns out bad, like the Amityville Horror, hence why it's F, it doesn't work. And Darkness Falls was right on that edge. If they would have just camped it up a little bit more, it probably would have been a lot more fun. But they tried a little hard to make it a legit horror movie, and it just didn't fit. I think E's good. It's not as bad as Amityville Horror, but it's not
E for eh.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It would have been better if The Rock was playing the Tooth Fairy from his Tooth Fairy movie in the horror movie and was the monster.
S.
Right.
That might have been more fun. Yeah, that would have been great.
Well, I think E is probably a solid spot. I mean, we had a couple arguments for D. I usually give a little sway to the person who picked it, so we'll leave it at E for now.
Fine.
So yeah, but yeah, so I guess it's my turn. So let's see. I think one of the ones I want to go for because I'm just curious to see what people think. So I want to go with The Ring because the first time I ever saw it was believe it or not, I saw this movie when I was in high school. Actually, in class, I saw it, and they showed it because I was taking a video tech class, and they wanted to show us something from like all different genres, and they just picked a random horror movie to show us. So they showed us the Ring. So at that time, that the movie really creeped me out. I mean, now it doesn't really scare me too much, but at the same time, like I watched it with my wife, and she refuses to watch the second one. She won't do it. She got so freaked out by this movie that she literally won't watch the second one. And I love the beginning where they have the whole 7 days with the videotape and you see like the first gruesome kill and the girl's in some kind of crazy position with her mouth all wide open and stuff. That really freaked me out. And then just like how she goes and investigates everything in the videotape, trying to figure out where the movie came from. And then at the very end, when she finally crawls out of the TV too, that really got me too. So I wouldn't go S tier, but probably A. That I'd give The Ring a solid A. But what do you think, Shauna, of the Ring?
Okay, so I love The Ring. I love Samara. I love the whole story. I love it. I loved Ring 2. I loved it. So yeah, S for me. Like that mouth and then her crawling out the TV, like that fucking gave me nightmares again. I seen it as well. Like that whole black long hair gorge Samara thing just does it for me clearly. So yeah, S tier for me for The Ring. Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about an S tier for sure. But what do you think, Austin?
I don't want to hurt Shauna's feelings, but I think The Ring is one of the most overrated horror movies of all time. I think it's, if you sit down and watch it, I think people have more fond memories of 2 sequences out of that 2.5 hour slog. They remember the opening sequence with the girls, and they remember the stuff where she comes out of the TV at the end. There is 2 hours of that movie in the middle where she is doing procedural investigations, and it is a slog. Where she is just wandering around from location to location. She's wandering around storage rooms. She's reading books. She's watching the tape over and over again. It's like a police procedural. And the original Ringu is an hour and a half. Gore Verbinski made this movie 2.5 hours. It's too damn long, and it's boring. And it's not the worst thing ever, but I put it right there with The Grudge and the C tier, to where like there's some good stuff in it, but I think it's extremely overrated. Just my opinion. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. Just my opinion.
Right. And I think For me, that's all about the vibe, though. Like, it's not always about like having something scary on the screen. They're just building tension. They're building the vibe. They're just like just building it up to that ending that you see that everyone talks about.
Her reading books and in a storage room investigating is not scaring me just because the lights are out in the storage room. Sorry, it just doesn't work for me.
Right, but what do you think, Anthony? The Ring.
I'm kind of high B, low A for me. I'll kind of just, you can put it right in that middle realm and go from there, how everyone else says it, because I think it is a slow burn movie. It is a little long, but that middle section is important to the movie. It creates a slow burn. I don't mind a procedural thing. I think it makes it a different horror movie. Like, there are those two scenes, obviously, that are the essential scenes that everyone remembers. They're the parts that scare the crap out of you. And the rest of it is I think the problem is it starts off with such a great scene and ends with such a great scene that the middle feels slower, but it's a necessity. It's a necessary evil in the middle to learn about what's going on. So I'd put it low A, high B. I think it was very good. Obviously, Ringu would be better, but American remakes of Japanese horror movies don't go well most of the time. So that's just the state of affairs. But I'm going based on just The Ring itself. So that's what I would go.
Yeah. What do you think, Mark, for The Ring?
I have to give this a C, and I'm going to preface with the fact that the one time I saw it, it was kind of a bad situation that I was with a group of friends, and the idea was that we were going to watch The Ring, and then we were going to watch Ringu. And I think I don't remember which one we watched first, but the big thing I took away is that during Ringu, everybody kept kind of talking and chatting amongst themselves, and during The Ring, they were all silent. And so I felt like they didn't give the other movie respect. But beyond that, just correction, the movie The Ring is only 115 minutes. It just feels like 2.5 hours. And I think that whole procedural midsection is the big problem with a lot of U.S. remakes of Asian horror is that the spirit realm and the unexplainable is so ingrained in Asian culture that they can do that. It's just accepted that if you have that ghosts and other unexplained phenomena are a part of life, that even if you're not necessarily a believer in it, you grow up around that. Whereas in Western culture, we have it, but we're so resistant to it that the movie feels like it has to spend so much time trying to explain the events in the corporeal realm before it finally throws up its hands and says, no, we cannot find a justification for this. It is all ghosts and shit. Now that is the same structure as the longer cut of The Exorcist, but I feel there it serves a purpose because that movie is at least trying to talk about the cultural divide between faith-based living and hedonistic living and the spiritual crisis of conflict that its main priest is undergoing, and also just the generation gap, because this was at a time when kids were mouthing off to their parents and they didn't know why, and this gave them a convenient explanation. Oh, it's Satan. But in The Ring, it wastes so much time trying to find a logical reason for things instead of just readily accepting, okay, we're dealing with shit we don't understand, let's meet it at that level. So I feel like it's just a colossal waste of time.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying there. So I think kind of like we all kind of run the gamut. We got an A, B, C. So I mean, I'm kind of feeling like maybe B might be a good consensus.
B category, I think, is fair. It's a good compromise because we had 2 C's, we had like an A and an S. So I think a strong B is a good compromise.
Yeah,
it's better than The Grudge, so it belongs there.
I think it's better than the Grudge because the Grudge just bores me. But The Ring at least has some good sequences. I don't like almost anything about The Grudge other than I can recognize it's fairly well made. That's about it.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So I think we'll throw it back to Shauna. So you're up now. What you got?
Can I do like a really bad one then? Like something that I really hated?
Sure. Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know how
Definitely.
you're going to feel about this, but like,
It's always fun.
so I would put Orphan in F. So I hated that
Okay.
film so much. I hated it. I
Let's see, no.
thought she was just terrible.
Orphan.
So I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not, but I really didn't like it. I felt creeped out by it. Didn't like the way that the child was trying to hit on the dad. Just didn't float my boat at all.
Still awkward, yeah.
So yeah, but it wasn't based. It was based on a true story as well. So the fact that it was real, it's just creepy as fuck. So yeah, I didn't like it. So I'm gonna put that down there. And also, I didn't like the actress that played the little girl either. I didn't like the acting in it.
All right. Yeah.
So
what do you think, Austin?
Sorry, my ring light is turned off. I don't know what's going on here, so I don't know if you can see me.
That's all right.
No worries.
Yeah, we can see you.
I thought the spirits were just reacting badly to my review of The Ring, and they were trying to jam the signal so that none of you could hear me.
Right. They were trying to crawl through Shauna's connection and take us out.
Yeah,
Right?
basically Samara is attacking
Yeah.
all of you right now.
Mhm.
That's where we're gonna see Shauna
gonna
fall
get
off
us.
the screen or something, like coming out of
Yeah. She's gonna come get us for all of our bad reviews.
Yeah.
She's gonna murder me after this one. Yeah.
This is a ghost-friendly home.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So yeah, the orphan is shite, basically.
Yeah. But what do you think, Austin?
I would disagree slightly. I actually ended up kind of like Orphan. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever, ARS, nothing like that. I think it's like a solid B for me. I kind of was pleasantly surprised by Orphan. Although I have to admit, I'm a sucker for The Good Son, Orphan, these kind of movies where like the kid is doing bad things but blaming it on someone else, and there's like these misunderstandings. I'm kind of a sucker for that sort of stuff. But I kind of like the sort of twistiness of the ending about her just being like a 40-year-old woman or whatever she was in that movie, in like a 9-year-old's body or whatever it was. But
it actually happens, like crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I mean, I kind of like the twist. It had a good kind of creepy vibe to it. I thought it was kind of underrated, to be honest, and I think a lot of people out there kind of agree with me. But I might be alone on that, and that's fine. But to me, it's more like a B level. I thought it was pretty decent. Yeah.
What do you think, Anthony? The Orphan.
I feel like the first time I watched this, I was like, "This what is happening? This movie is dumb." I watched it again, I was kind of like, and after knowing the twist and watching again, I was like, I was in between. I was like, okay, some of this makes sense, and some of it is still, man, you're really stretching here. Like, there's a lot. You never notice like the bruises because she always had this thing on. Like, she's 9. You're not checking to make sure she's in pajamas. Like, what is happening? A lot of flaws. So I would go. I don't think it's an F. I don't absolutely despise it. I think the twist is pretty. The first time I saw it, I was like, holy crap, didn't see that coming. But I would go D at like max, like low D, high E maybe, because it did have some parts that were good, and the creepy children is always or creepy 40-year-old, however you want to try.
Yeah.
It's always interesting.
All right.
Definitely for me, wasn't top tier, but it's not Amityville Horror, which is how I'm judging. Lower.
Right. Yeah, what do you think, Mark, of The Orphan?
I give this an S. I love this movie on a
really?
I think even without the big reveal at the end, and I think she's only 35.
Right.
I mean,
so she's my age? That's weird.
She's not a hag, for God's sakes. I feel like it really... First off, I feel like it really captured the paranoia of being in a situation where someone is up to no good, but you can't convince anyone, and because of your own poor choices in your life, you are regarded as suspect. She can't get anyone to take her seriously, and also on a primal level, I've always appreciated this quote it's apocryphal to W.C. Fields, but I'm sure he said it, if not in these exact words. There has never been a time in anyone's life when they have not harbored a secret desire to boot a child in the ass. So I feel like I'm not as enamored with creepy children movies in general. I'm one of the few people that really intensely disliked Psycho Gorman, and I think part of it is because the little girl is too effective at playing an absolute beast, or at least the fact the brother character in that movie is almost too sympathetic. I feel like if they had made him more of a dumb comical foil, like the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which, by the way, Psycho Gorman is a huge Heuck ripoff of. But that in Orphan, I feel like it really set the effective stage of dealing with being in a situation where no one will believe you and you don't trust yourself, and you know that everything you're feeling goes against the mores of society, and this person is taking absolute advantage of it. And I'm hoping that nobody who has not seen Orphan is watching this, because we're blatantly revealing it, the reveal, which I also did not see coming. And so I think it is, considering how young Isabel Furman was when she played that role, I think the fact that she was able to convincingly carry herself both as a child beneath her years and an older woman above her years should be respected.
I thought I was being generous just giving it a B, but Mark took it to another level. I just thought it was underrated. Mark's like, it's super underrated. Yeah, no, I can respect that. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, I've never seen this movie, so I'm going to stay out of this argument. So, I mean, we got an argument for...
I'm sorry.
Well, we have a conundrum here, Jordan, because we have an S, we have a B, we have a D, and an F. So, like, does it go into C, like right in the middle? I mean, because you got two really high and two low, so it kind of goes in C as a consensus.
Yeah, so I'd say C. Yeah,
Math says C.
The law of averages. Yeah.
Who likes maths anyway? Like, seriously.
You do math. It says C. So
it's still a passing grade.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Exactly. So we'll leave it there, and we'll move along. But so Austin, you're up.
I've got two more I could potentially argue for S, so I'll take one of them right now. I was having a hard time finding it on the pictures there, but I was going to argue for Frailty if you could find it.
Yeah. And actually,
can we please not give away the ending? I haven't seen it.
Okay, I won't talk about the ending. We'll talk about I'll just talk about the premise. That's all.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is one of the most overlooked, awesome movies of the 2000s. It's super, super effective. This is Bill Paxton and his two kids, and Bill Paxton directed the movie, by the way, which is really impressive given that he's the lead actor as well. This is a movie that I've loaned out to people time and time again and championed, and everybody that comes back after they watch it agrees that it's amazing, that it's how did I miss this movie, this sort of thing. So Mark, you missed it, but I'm going to champion it right now and try to convince you. But yeah, it goes to what I was talking about earlier with sort of paranoia horror, because it's this family drama that delves into horror where just a quick premise. Bill Paxton has this small family in Texas. It's set back in the 70s, and he gets like a vision while he was in his room one night that he says it's a vision from God that he's put on this earth to destroy demons. So he starts abducting people and saying he's been given all these instructions and these lists and these weapons. And when he touches people, it reveals all their evil that they've done, that they're actually demons, they're not people. And he starts destroying demons, and it sets up this thing where one of the kids is on his side and the other one just thinks he's become a serial killer, and they clash. And it's great. But it's all told in flashback with Matthew McConaughey talking to Powers Booth in an FBI office. So I won't reveal any twists or anything like that, but it's told in flashback. McConaughey's great. Powers Booth is great. It goes back and forth. The atmosphere is incredible. It just amps up and amps up and amps up as you get these family clashes. And it's just one of these movies that just everything about it works. The kid actors are good. Bill Paxton's amazing. His direction is incredible. Again, it's just one of these movies that everybody who sees it, I think, agrees that it's one of the best films of the time. So I'm going to argue for S tier Frailty and see what people think.
All right. So what do you think, Anthony, for Frailty?
I'm in between giving my honest answer and just annoying Austin and moving it down to A again.
He's going to be that bug in my ear the whole night. Yeah. Right.
It is completely underrated. It probably should be an S tier. It is really well done. I am going to stop my conversation there because I do not want to give literally anything away from Marc because I think you will really enjoy this movie, and I just want you to watch it with completely fresh.
Anything I said was literally stuff in like the first act. It's not giving anything away. So that's just the premise and the setup of the movie, but it has great twists at the end, great turns, really well worth your time. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So you haven't seen it, Marc, obviously. So I mean, I don't know if you have anything you want to say, but
I miss Bill Paxton.
but
Me too. I love it.
Yeah, right.
That's why I go back and watch it so much. I miss Bill Paxton so much.
R.I.P.
He's so great.
Yeah. So for me, this was the very last movie that I watched in preparation for this episode. I watched it this morning. So and when I saw it, I was actually blown away by the movie. Like I thought that it was absolutely incredible. Just the dynamic between Bill Paxton and his two kids are really great. I love having Matthew McConaughey just kind of narrating the whole thing, like doing it in a flashback mode. And then Powers Booth is great in the movie also. And like, yeah, just like it, the story from beginning to end, just like I was all in. Like I really bought into all of it, and it was super creepy, but it also told like a really like awesome story. So yeah, I would go S all the way. Like I thought this movie was
It just backs up my argument because Jordan was texting me, asking me which of the movies on some of his list that he was going to try to squeeze in, and Frailty was one of the ones I told him to watch. And it just goes to my argument. Every time I recommend this movie to somebody, they come back telling me it's amazing. So it just kind of backs up my argument.
And also too, I've been trying to figure out where I've seen the older kid from. I don't know if you ever have seen him in anything before, but he's been in several different things. I can't really place it, but
the younger kid was Peter Pan in that 2003 Peter Pan movie. So that's where he's from. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the older kid, he's been in some stuff, but I can't off the top of my head. I can't remember at the moment. But Shauna, what do you think of Frailty?
Yeah, I actually didn't remember it until you described it. And I remember watching it before. I think it's the one that you're thinking of. Just one thing. It's like underground, the little thing. I think that's it. Yeah. Oh my god. I didn't actually
we'll spoil anything for Marc, but
described it. I was oh my god, that film was brilliant. Yeah. So I loved it. Yeah, I would give that an S tier too. It's fantastic.
Sounds like an S tier to me.
But just because I forgot the name, like I'm just really bad with names. But when you described it, I was like, oh my god, I remember Matthew McConaughey narrating that whole thing. That was fucking creepy as fuck. Yeah, but not like terrifying. As in, like it didn't scare me. It was just a really good watch. It was really interesting as well. I thought.
Yeah, right.
The kids, really the whole dynamic movie with the two.
Just and just to back up what I was talking about at the beginning with paranoia, sort of horror. It's one of those things that it hits that button for me. Like if I was one of these kids and all of a sudden I woke up and my dad was almost a completely different person the next day and had this new mission in life, and you didn't know if you could trust him. That's horrifying for a kid. Like that's terrifying. Your parent changes overnight. So. That's what is, again, it hits my button as far as what scares me personally, not so much, monsters and ghosts and things, but like not being able to trust the people around you. And it's one of those movies that is part of that sort of genre for me. So that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, fucks your mind up.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we'll leave it in S tier. So, yeah.
Sweet.
We'll throw it over to Anthony, though. Sure.
All right, I'll go with one a little on the different side than a lot of these that I really enjoy because the executive producer is one of my favorite directors. And I am going to try. It's not S tier, but I really enjoy it. I think it should be in the A. I'm going to go with The Orphanage. which is a really
All right.
well done kind of ghost story. Not like sort of supernatural, but
Bottom
also
right.
Bottom right.
Right above the right one, and there it is.
It's really well done. It kind of is also like a breakdown of the parents. A lot of interesting things happening in it. It's really well done. It's well shot. It's well directed. There's a lot of good things about this movie, and it's like the most Guillermo del Toro movie you could find that's not directed by Guillermo del Toro. So if you like the Pan's Labyrinth and stuff like that, this is almost exactly like it. It's very similar in the way it's told. So I like it a lot. It's a great kind of supernatural ghost story that's not over the top scary. It has that perfect slow burn and that kind of hits you in the feels, especially at the end. It just hits you hard. But I really enjoyed this movie, and I wanted to bring it up, so I did.
All right, awesome. So what do you think, Mark, for the Orphanage?
I would go so far as to put Orphanage in S tier.
Okay.
I feel like it legitimately scared and unnerved me, and it still had a storyline that had, with characters I got invested in, with this underlying theme of tragedy playing underneath, which has been the trademark of a lot of the great Del Toro movies as well. That I feel like really good horror depends less on horrid things as they are just sad things, and there is so much sadness in The Orphanage to go with all of its jump scares, and I feel like it's to its advantage. That being said, I have yet to see it, but I am looking to go to extreme lengths to get a copy of something that, in the wake of all of the terrible joke a minute spoofs that came out in the noughts, that someone overseas did something called Spanish Movie, where they were satirizing all of the popular Spanish movies of the time, like The Orphanage and Volver, and all the the filmmakers that broke out, or the stars that broke out. But they managed to get J.A. Bayona to do a cameo in it, and they got Leslie Nielsen to do a cameo where he's dubbed in Spanish. It's like one of the last things he did. It never got an American release, so I have to track down like a region coded DVD of it. But I want to see that. It's probably going to be terrible, but hell, I feel like I have to see it.
I was about to say, stand by while I Amazon that at this moment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Spanish Movie is impossible to Google.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right. Yeah, sure. You're going to get like 1 million results, yeah. But
I got The Orphanage.
Right.
Nice.
But for me, though, I remember seeing this movie in theaters, but I only saw it the one time, and I don't remember a lot about the movie, but I do remember the way that I felt when I saw it, and I remember like not only being creeped out, but being like genuinely entertained, and like it had a solid storyline. So it's hard for me to really say much about it because I don't really remember a lot, but I do remember walking out really enjoying the movie. So I mean, for that, I mean, it's really hard for me to really have much of a say, but I'll go with an A tier. I mean, I remember that I really solidly and enjoyed it. So I mean, I'd be happy with the A. But what do you think, Shauna?
Yeah, I go with an A as well. I liked it. I liked The Orphanage. It reminds me of Pan's Labyrinth as well, which is one of my favorites. So actually, yeah, I'll go with an A tier. It's quite good. It's very good.
Yeah, what do you?
Creepy as fuck, like, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I liked it.
But what do you think, Austin?
I'll have to revert to you guys' opinions. It's the one movie on the list we had here that I have not seen. The only one that I just have not gotten around to, unfortunately. So, and I wanted to, but there were some other ones I kind of rewatched first, and I just didn't have enough time to get to it. But based on your recommendations, man, I'm gonna seek it out pretty quickly. So I need to get around to it, and I certainly will. But I'll trust your gut on the A thing. I heard good things about it at the time, though. Yeah, I'll definitely. I'll roll with you on that. I'm cool with it being in an A.
I forgot. I should have just went for S then. Damn, I didn't.
Well, I mean, it still could make the top 10 because it depends on how many we get in S, and then we revert to A after that. So it still could be in the top 10 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to mention that it's rated pretty high, even on Rotten Tomatoes. But like, not to say Rotten Tomatoes is a definitive ranking or anything, but it got an 87%. So I mean, that's a pretty high score for a horror movie like that. So yeah, that's saying a little bit at least. So yeah, for sure. But all right, so we'll throw it over to Mark. You're up next. So what do you got?
Okay, well, I'm not going to put this up for S tier because I don't think it frightens me, but I do feel like it is an outstanding movie that needs to be recognized as A tier, and that is Jennifer's Body.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Yes. I feel like something that
where is it?
This movie does so well is that it creates a protagonist that manages to both be a frightening evil presence even before she becomes a literal monster, but it always has this kind of vein of sympathy for her in terms of what she could have been and what she means to her best friend. That she's been a bad friend to her best friend all since they were children. She's always been kind of taking advantage of her, yet there's always been a sort of loyalty between them, and it's this friend having to reconcile the fact that terrible people put this curse upon her, but she is still doing stuff of her own free will. That I've written about this movie when it screened at the New Beverly. I went during its first run, and I was actively tub thumping for it when everybody was like, Diablo coded, artificial language, misogynist as fuck.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
But I don't want to say that it's not scary in the sense that I'm not sitting there like, oh no, she's gonna be eating him. But I feel like it does so many things well in terms of talking about toxic friendships, of talking about how men view women and how women have to try to work around that or actively take advantage of it, of how sweet looking guys are actually just as evil as beefhead jocks. There are so many wonderful things going on in it. Again, the only reason I can't put it into S tier is that I don't think I wasn't actually scared by it, even though I loved the living hell out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, like, it's really tough. I could go either A or S. I mean, I think there's a solid case to be made for S for me. And I remember that, like, for me, like Megan Fox has always been like one of my main celebrity crushes. Like, she's like super sexy, but like, I'm not a big fan of her acting. I don't think she's the greatest actor, but I mean, the movie overall though, I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, and you see like quite a few people pop up in there that you would recognize. I mean, obviously you have Amanda Seyfried as the best friend in there, but you have J.K. Simmons, he pops up. You have Chris Pratt, you have Amy Sedaris. So you have a few of those that pop up in the movie, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with the movie, but overall, like, it didn't really like scare me. But I mean, definitely gave me some creepy vibes. So I mean, I'd probably give it a solid A, but I wouldn't be mad if it ended up in the S tier, kind of like at the bottom of the S or something. But I'm gonna go with A. But what do you think, Shauna?
Yeah,
Your body.
I just loved it. I don't like Megan Fox either, really, like not usually, but I just thought like it's something that I'd watch every Halloween or something. It's something that I'd watch with the girls, and yeah, it's a really good film. I wouldn't put it in S tier. I'd put it in A. Yeah, A or B. Yeah, A or B.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's good though. It's kind of it is a girly film though. I think like to watch with the girls, kind of but yeah,
it is. Yeah,
scary because it is. It's like just bitchiness the whole time. It's brilliant.
Yep, right.
You want to be Megan, like you want to be her, kill all the men. Yeah, brilliant.
Yep. Well, what do you think, Austin?
I think this movie. I think this movie is better than the reputation it kind of got at the time, because I know at the time it got kind of ridiculed and soured, and people kind of brushed it off as just like a silly Megan Fox kind of horror movie, just capitalizing on her fame. I think it's better than that. I know it has a cult following. I'm not personally part of that cult following. Like, it's not a movie I go back to or enjoy on that level. But I think it's better than its reputation, sort of. And I think it's pretty fun. To me, it's just a little too silly to be on A level, just for me personally. I think the writing is kind of all over the place. For me personally, it's more like a B level, but that's just my opinion. I'm just not part of that cult following that it has. Yeah, just for me personally.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you think, Austin? I mean, Anthony, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I would agree with A. I think this is one of those movies I saw the first time and I was like, well, this was garbage. And then I watched it again with new eyes, and I was kind of, because you go in, you're like, oh, Megan Fox. Like, I saw her in Transformers. And but then, like, and you're like, oh wait, no, she can actually act when she's given a role to do, and she's not just, hey, girl in danger, girl in short shorts. Right. An actual role to play. She can do it. So I liked it more the second time. I would put it in A. It has a lot of fun. It has a good campiness to it. It has the right amount of campiness where it's not trying to overdo itself, but it does it just right. So A is good for me. It would not go an S for me, but A is solid. I think it deserves an A.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think A is probably where we're going to leave it. We got enough votes for A, so yeah, we'll leave it there. But so now I'm up, and so I want to go with one that's actually my favorite horror movie of all time that's on this list. But I'm just curious to see what people actually think, because I haven't really like asked a lot of people opinions on it. But I got to go with the movie Insidious. So for me, I absolutely love this movie. I love it. The whole world that they're able to create with the further, like them like traveling into some other realm, and it like really freaked me out. And like this movie really scared me from like the opening credits, just the way that like the opening credits show up on screen, and they're playing like the creepy violin over and over, just super loud, like it just really creeped me out. And then afterward, I remember just sitting through the end credits, even just listening to the music, because the music alone just generally freaked me out. And so, I mean, I would give it S tier all the way. Like I love the cast of it. I love just like the two little dopey guys. I forget what they like. At some one point they call it the dog and pony show, like in the movie, but like the two little paranormal guys. So you got a little bit of humor in there. Then you have I forget the name of the old lady actress, but she like always pops up. Yeah, Lynn Shay. So Lynn Shay is great. Like when they're sitting in a little circle and she puts the gas mask on, she's whispering different things and like hearing things from the further and all this stuff. And then when they have to go into the further, and you see that like creepy monster that like looks kind of like a Darth Maul mixed with the devil, and there's that scene where he's like sharpening his claws and like and then like running it against the bars, like he's in a little jail cell thing. Like it just really freaked me out. And then when he comes out of the further and he's crawling on the wall, just like all of it just really freaked me out. So I'd say S tier all the way. This is my favorite horror movie of all time. I've seen it probably at least like 20, 30 times. So yeah. But what do you think, Shauna, of Insidious?
Okay, so like, yeah, I agree that it's one of the scariest films that I've ever seen. Like, but I can't watch it again. Do you know what I mean? I actually can't watch it again. Like, I actually
Like
can't. I
that's
got
scary.
so anxious watching it. I was like, oh my god, I had to fast forward through it. No, like, but I agree that it has to be up there because it did scare the absolute shit out of me. So yeah, yeah. Oh, the Darth Maul thing. As soon as you said that, oh my god. I'm gonna have nightmares going in here. It's like 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
Like, I'm home alone.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh,
Like the
I
middle of the
live
night for you.
across from an abandoned building. This is an abandoned
Yeah.
hotel right here, so I'm freaked out.
Oh no.
Oh, wow.
Why did you agree to do this?
I don't know.
It's the perfect place to be for something like this, right? If you really want to get scared.
I have the movie.
Yeah, you should be
well.
streaming from the abandoned hotel and make it more
I know,
interesting.
that
Maybe we
would
could
make
see
it
people
horrible.
behind you in the windows.
I keep looking up. That's what I keep looking up, expecting to see shit move in my window. Anyway.
Yikes.
So yeah,
Well,
I just couldn't watch it again. Like that's why I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be up there because it's so fucking scary. So yeah, that's my.
Yeah, like even the moment when like the monster first pops up behind. So forget the main actor's name too.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, when he pops up behind Patrick Wilson too, and you like see that face pop up for the first time. Ugh, that then like really freaks me out. Like I have it still on my computer, like just for fun. So I have like a rotating background for my computer, and I threw that picture in there just to kind of freak myself out. So I have all these like pictures of like scenery and like really beautiful places, and then I have that
Why?
It's gonna randomly just pop up every hour just to give myself a good scare because I thought it was funny to just throw that random picture in there. So I just did it, and yeah, so like that's always something that'll pop up once in a while. But what do you think, Austin, for Insidious?
I like Insidious a lot. I don't overly love Insidious only because I think the last 20 minutes hurts it. I think they explain too much about the further and they go too much into the thing. Like I think we needed some stuff to be kind of left a little more ambiguous in that movie. Like they try to overly explain everything in that movie, and I think it kind of hurts it. I think, to me, I don't prefer horror movies that overly rely on sudden jump scares, which I think it does a little too many in Insidious. Like it's just constantly jump scare. And while like there's some very stunning imagery and some very creative stuff in the movie, like the gas mask stuff, the Darth Maul monsters, what everybody calls them, the lipstick stuff. I think there's some very memorable imagery. I think the acting is really solid. It's a good movie. I like it. But I don't love it as much as some people do, only because I think it falls apart a little bit in the third act, and it relies a little too heavy on just on overabundance of jump scares for me. So to me, it's like a low A rather than an S.
Okay. But yeah, and I do want to add that I cannot listen to that song "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" anymore after that movie. That
Right.
song freaks me out now. Yeah, but what do you think, Anthony?
I would put it solid middle A. I think it's a very, very good horror movie. There is a lot of really good jump scares. Like everyone said, Darth Maul demon is that was an iconic scene. Why you put that on your computer, I will never know.
No, I don't understand.
I'm sticking with the waterfall
I'm
and
a psychopath.
forest background so I can calm down when like things go out of control. But you do you. But the movie's really good. It's impressive. The thing like Austin kind of said at the end, like the gas mask scene and all that stuff, it feels like it was building to these 3 sequels that they made because that's where they more came up. All these demons came up more, so it kind of felt towards the end they were just getting ready like, hey, you know how we make more money? Make sequels. So,
franchise, baby, franchise.
Let's franchise this bitch, and let's make that dough. And the end kind of felt like they were getting ready for that. But I would put it in an A because it did have some of the most solid jump scares of any horror movie of all time. But the end kind of faded a little bit. But still an A. I mean, A's good. I never got it.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Yeah. So what do you think, Mark? Insidious.
I have not seen Insidious.
Oh man!
Oh,
You have a favor and see this movie. Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah. So I mean, we got a couple for S. We got a couple. Well, actually, no. I think I was the only one that said S. I think you guys all said A. So I think we got to move it down to A. I feel like maybe middle of the road for A. But
maybe middle A is fair enough. I think.
Yeah.
It could still make top 10 or honorable mentions. So I think it's fair enough. Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, I'm gonna fight for it. Maybe at the end to be an S tier. We'll see, but we'll leave it there for now. And we'll move it back over to Shauna. You're up again.
Okay, so one that I only watched yesterday, after watching a documentary on Eliza Lamb, I watched 1408. You know that room 1408.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what to make of it. It kind of frustrated me, in fairness, more so than anything else. A lot of annoying kind of repetitiveness and stuff in it that just bugged me. So I wouldn't say it was the worst film I've ever seen, but it was not great. So maybe D, C.
All right.
That's what I'm putting out there. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's fair enough. Yeah. What do you think, Austin?
I like 1408 a lot. I saw it twice in the theater, and I think it's really rewatchable. I love kind of horror movies that take place sort of in a single setting, and the fact that most of that movie takes place in that hotel room, and it still manages to be entertaining and fairly creative overall, I think is a lot of fun as sort of it amps up, little by little, with Cusack kind of freaking out, seeing things here and there, eventually getting to the point where they're trying to convince him to commit suicide and kill himself.
Eventually.
And eventually, and I love that. There's a line that I love where it's like, "Would you like to try our express checkout?" And it's like a noose just hanging from the ceiling. I think it's amazing. And the fact that he eventually fights back and kind of figures out a way to fight back on it is great. I like 1408 a lot. I think it's really solid, especially for PG-13 horror around that time. I think it gets a little edgy. It's pretty good. It's a solid adaptation of the Stephen King story. I'd argue for more like a strong B. I like 1408 a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, what do you think, Anthony?
It's middle of the realm. I would give it a C. I've seen a Stephen King adaptation of an author in a house that's haunted that goes a little crazy, and it's better. The other one is better. So fortunately, it's fine. It's not great. It's not bad. It's a C in my opinion. I love Stephen King books, but this was not one of his better books, and it's not one of the better movies based on his books, in my opinion. This is one I've watched once, and I was like, cool, saw it. Maybe I'll get a question right interview on it one day.
Right.
That's pretty much that way.
There you go. What do you think, Mark, for 1408?
I saw the movie only once, and I remember rather liking it when I first saw it. I feel like over time I would probably demote it down to a B. I feel like I would need to watch it again before I could give it a really honest appraisal. But the things that I remember liking most was that after a while it became less about death and more about depression, and the idea that depression is the room that can never be escaped. And I feel like it. You've already brought up some of the cheekier moments of the movie, which I feel are in line with Stephen King's sense of gallows humor. Pardon the literalism.
Yep.
That and the fact that we tend to denigrate the concept of PG-13 horror, but it can be done and done well, and this is an example of that. Like when I was preparing my list for the show, I initially had it at an A, but I did realize that some of that was just maybe halcyon memory. So I'll go with the group and take it down to a B.
Yeah, like I think that so 1408, I saw it twice in theaters, and so like I was like Austin there, and I really liked it the first time, and the second time that I saw it, like I kind of got like some of the same things Mark said, a little bit about depression, a little bit about like you can't escape this room, and like it's a metaphor for a lot of things. So there's a lot of psychological things, but a lot of paranormal things too. I mean, I really like having John Cusack and Samuel Jackson in there. I mean, that's fun, but I mean, overall, like I thought that like probably it's a solid B for me. Like when I first saw it, like I came out really liking it, and I would probably put it in an A after one viewing, but the more that I see it, it kind of dropped down a little bit. So I'd say a solid B. I think B is about fair for me. So I mean, I kind of feel like we had few votes for B, a couple for C, but I mean, I think maybe B
I think low B is fair.
seems fair. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I mean,
Mhm.
I think we'll leave it there for now. But yeah. So I think let's see. Who's up now? Austin, is that you?
Yeah.
I think you're up, yeah.
Yeah, there's one more. I think I'll argue for S tier just because I think it's a really strong film. Maybe not the scariest horror movie of all time or anything like that. I'm not going to argue for that. But let's talk about American Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a movie I actually hadn't watched in probably 10 years or so, and I rewatched it today because I had the 4K Blu-ray lying around that I ordered a couple months back, and I hadn't cracked it open yet. So I was like, oh, why not? And man, this movie is great. It's great. Christian Bale is on another level in that movie. Just his characterization is. I can't speak to the Bret Easton Ellis novel, but I can only speak to the movie. But man, this character study of this dude who is just all over the place, but it's really a case of, like we talked about, I think it's an early movie kind of really looking at mental illness and somebody who's just completely unhinged and doesn't know where he belongs in the world and just can go off at any moment. I mean, we see that when he's just goes through an alley and just kills a homeless guy and his dog. It's like terrifying. So you want to like be on this guy's side until he does some of these horrific things in this movie. But what really scares me is again, the people you know and don't know, where you could be working with this guy that all of a sudden he maybe invites you over for a couple of drinks or a party at his apartment, and then he's just putting on a raincoat, asking you if you like Huey Lewis, and slamming you in the head with an axe. I mean, that stuff kind of scares me, that he's like this killer, but, this low-key killer. I thought this movie was brilliant. I thought the writing was great. The performances are really good. Mary Hatton's direction is fantastic. I'm going to argue for American Psycho and kind of see what happens. So I'm going to argue for S level and just see what happens. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what everybody thinks. What do you think, Anthony, on American Psycho?
I'm not even going to try to play the game this time. I really, I think this movie does belong in S tier. I really enjoy it. I've also read the book, and I think the movie is slightly better than the book because it helps. It just adds more when you can see it visually. The book obviously gets into itself a little too much, that like most of that author's works do. But it's really good. There's a lot of creativity in it. There's a lot of good moments. Christian Bale's fantastic in it. Everybody that's in it does a great job. And like you said, I like Huey Lewis and Phil Collins on occasion, so I think I'm safe if I go to his house. I can talk about them for a little bit. So
right. But, delay the inevitable.
It was a very creative, it was a very well done movie, with a very confusing ending, but it really shows a lot about just the higher elite in life, mental illness, all these things all come together in one movie. There's probably a few flaws in it, but not enough to move it down to an A. I think it belongs a little above some movies that we have in the A tier.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Mark, for American Psycho?
I would give it a solid A tier. I don't think I can give it S tier because I think it's so effective at its satire and its evisceration of toxic masculinity that it's not scary. that as he's going about his blood rampage, I was never scared in the least. I mean, I was certainly icked out a few times, but I knew what it was in the service of, and I'm not saying that as a knock against the movie. I think it's brilliant. I think Mary Harron is incredibly underappreciated. I just saw Charlie Says a few months ago, and I feel like as much as I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in fact, my hands are in the movie in the first 20 minutes. You look carefully. But I feel like if a third of the people who saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood would see Charlie Says, that they would have an even better notion of what a frightening time the late 60s were for young, impressionable people.
Right. Yep. Well, I mean, I would say that I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really say much about it. So, but But I do have kind of a dumb question to ask. Like so, is American Psycho have any relation to the Psycho movie from the 60s? Like, is it related?
Oh,
at all?
not
No.
the least.
Not
no.
even a little bit.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well,
No,
they're
it-
both.
I have no idea.
No, it's a Bret Easton Ellis book, and he's a horror unto himself. But no, that
Okay.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Like you have the whole thing with the knife and everything, so I'm like maybe they're related, But
No.
yeah. So I mean, I can't really say it, so I'm gonna sit out on ranking this one. But yeah. What do you think, Shauna?
So I would say A as well. I kind of agree with Mark where it wasn't scary. It's more of a thriller than it is a horror. Like it's I know it's like horrific what he does, but it is more thrilling than scary. And Christian Bale just plays someone going off the rails like fucking amazing. Like he really does. So like it is a brilliant film. It is one of my favorite films, but it's not like one of the most scariest films I've ever seen. Like like that's all. But it is like high A, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I'd watch it and watch it and watch it. Like it is really good.
Well, I do feel like
I would
maybe
say either high A or low S. I think is fair for it, kind of right in the middle there.
Also,
right on the border.
I agree
I
with
think it's
Anthony.
fair.
The book wasn't as
Yeah,
good
so
as
I'd
the
say-
film.
Yeah.
The book wasn't as good as the film. Like it was
Maybe like top of the A list. Yeah.
Top
Yeah,
piece.
yeah.
And then it might go up
I think
later.
that's fair. Yeah. So like,
Well, these might go up as we
Yeah.
keep arguing, but yeah,
Right.
because we're gonna come
Yeah.
up with a top 10 and some honorable mentions, so things will get bumped up or bumped down. We'll see what happens at the end when we're kind of
Yeah,
doing
so-
individual rankings.
Yeah, so this is the time of the show that I like to kind of call like give the wheel a final spin kind of thing, like Wheel of Fortune, because we're getting close to the 2 hour mark, so we really want to focus on what we think belongs in the S tier. So I mean, if anyone has to jump out for any reason, we're probably going to go a little over 2 hours to just kind of come up with final 10. But
Okay, let
if
me
you
just
want
get
to, by all
water.
means,
Okay,
stay.
more water. I can still hear
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
Guys, though,
Yeah.
so talk away. I can still hear you.
Mhm.
No worries at all. So yeah, but yeah, so we want
So
to try to.
we'll call this. We usually call this the Hail Mary round, where you're throwing out your last Hail Mary for either high A or S or something like that, for something you want to throw in at the last second. So we'll call this the Hail Mary round, and anything left you want to do a quick argument for the top of the top. So what do you got, Anthony? So you're up, man, because you were after me. So what do you got?
All right, I do have my Hail Mary because I've been waiting to say this one for a while, and I absolutely adore this movie. Don't get me wrong, it's not that scary. I get it. It's not, but it is on this list. I love this movie, and James Gunn is a friggin' genius, and Nathan Fillion is absolutely hilarious, and
Yes,
Slither deserves to be in the A or S tier because that movie is a
Oh, yeah.
damn gem. That movie is so
Yes.
good. It's funny. It does have a little bit of horror element to it. It's a thriller, but every single person in this movie is good. And just the fact that they're like, oh, yeah, oh, you mean that squid? They put a squid on the board. They put a squid. And Nathan Fillion's like, what the hell are you people doing? Like, it's so good. Every part of this, Elizabeth Banks, Nathan Fillion are so good in this movie. I love this movie. I want to watch it like now because hold on a second. Why do I not just pull this out and have this on the TV going? I love this movie. I think it's up there. It's my Hail Mary throw because I know I get it. It's not that scary, but it's really well done and very funny. And I think it's a great horror comedy, one of the best of this decade. Other than Shaun of the Dead, I can't argue that one's great. But right behind.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Mark, for Slither?
I have not seen Slither. I generally trust James Gunn, so it's on my to watch list.
High recommend.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, for me, like I would agree with like Slither was actually one of the next ones I was going to choose anyways. Like I think that it's a definite S tier. Like I absolutely love this movie. So like the reason why I even watched it because of John Campea. He used to rant and rave about Slither all the time. So like I was like, I got to check this out, and absolutely loved it. And like speaking of some Rob Zombie movies, I'm on the list. I think he has a little cameo in this movie too. So that's fun to see. And I'm a huge Nathan Fillion fan. You have Michael Rooker in there. You got Elizabeth Banks. I mean, and like it's just like some like really campy fun. Like you got a lot of humor in there, and like the like big creature at the end. I'm not going to reveal anything else because Mark hasn't seen it, but like I really love that. But yeah, so yeah, I would give it S tier for sure. Like it's a definite S tier for me. So what do you think, Shauna?
I'd say A. I did like it, but wasn't like the great. I'd say A. I'd say high A.
Fair.
Okay.
All right.
I did love it though. Like yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I adore Slither. It's a lot of fun. It's a really, really fun movie, and it's one of those hidden gems that people have overlooked over the years. And I think it's a nice sort of almost update of Night of the Creeps, which also kind of involves little slugs, inhabiting people and things. But there's some great body horror in the movie. The makeup effects are tremendous. It has a great sense of humor. Really nice blend of a light tone comedy with some creepy crawlies. As we could say, but to me, like it's like top of A. I can't say it's a better film than American Psycho. I can't put it up against it, but like high A, I can absolutely go with high A. It's a lot of fun. That's a great Hail Mary, Anthony. Absolutely, it's a great Hail Mary to get up there for sure. I can't disagree with it being a really fun movie. So high A for me. I like it a lot.
I do what I can.
I think, yeah, right. So I think we have 2 for S, 2 for A. I mean, I think for now I'm going to leave it in the high A, but we're definitely going to be moving some.
We're going to be shuffling things around pretty soon, so we'll see what happens.
Right at the end, so I think that's a strong case to maybe move up. So yeah, we'll see where it ends up, but we'll throw it over to Mark.
Mark, you got a last minute Hail Mary? What do you got?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm surprised this one hasn't come up yet, so I have to put it out there. I have got to give an S tier amount of love to Drag Me to Hell. I feel like I don't know if that to me this is one of my favorite Sam Raimi movies because it is not just an effective horror movie, but it is also, I think, his most religious movie in terms of exploring the idea that the worst punishments are dealt to people who go against their good nature. That it's that you've made one wrong decision and you won't take responsibility for it, and the more you keep trying to pass the buck, the more you are only going to bring about your own destruction. And it manages to be funny and scary and moralistic all at once, and just everything about it is top notch.
Yeah, for sure. And this is one of the movies for me that when I went to go see it, I had very low expectations because at the time I was dating this girl who was like obsessed with horror movies. Like we literally saw like almost every horror movie that existed from like 2005 to like 2013 when we dated, and so that we saw everything. And so Drag Me to Hell, I had kind of low expectations, but I was really pleasantly surprised. I didn't even know that Justin Long was even in it until I sat down in the theater and like, oh my gosh, like Justin Long's in it. Like I already know I'm gonna love this movie because I'm a big fan of his. But yeah, like I would give it probably a solid A tier, but I wouldn't be mad if it ended up in the S tier. Like it's one of those movies that like it legitimately scared me, but at the same time, it has a lot of humor in it. Like it's fun. It even has a couple of campy moments that are just fun though. They're not too campy. They're like just the right amount for me. And so yeah, I'd probably give it a high A. I would say like just right at the top. I don't know if I could put it above American Psycho or Slither, but I could put it like about right there. But we'll see what you guys have to say. What do you think, Shauna?
Yeah, I was going to put it in S tier. That was going to be one of my Hail Marys there. So you got that first. So yeah, no, I loved that. Not that I loved it, I was just scared the whole time, like watching it. So yeah, that was like Insidious to me. That was kind of like a scary, if you get me. It creeped me out, gave me nightmares and stuff. So yeah, S tier for me. Yeah, agree.
Yeah, what do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna throw it up and nominate it for S tier, but I have a hard time arguing against S tier, if that makes any sense, because I love Drag Me to Hell. Drag Me to Hell is awesome, and the fact that it was Sam Raimi getting back to horror, and the studio kind of letting him do that after doing the Spider-Man movies, was a lot of fun. I felt like it kind of brought him back to back to, you know, a grounded level, you know, getting back to what he loves and what he does best. And yeah, Drag Me to Hell is like super fun, and it's both has scary moments, but it has a great kind of sadistic sense of humor and some really icky stuff, and a really fun ending. And yeah, I love Drag Me to Hell, man. I can't argue against that, Steer. I think it's great.
It's proper horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Anthony?
When you told me to do a Hail Mary, I had 3 movies on my mind. Slither was one of them. There's another one in there I won't say because Drag Me to Hell. Because Drag Me to Hell is great. And remember how at the beginning I said I like that cheeky horror? This is that. This has that little bit of a comedy element. Hi, this is my cat Clint. Hello.
Oh my God, your cat looks like my cat.
Anyway, but no, I love this movie. I think it's great. It's scary. It's, dude, seriously, it's scary. It's funny. It's everything you want from a movie. I really enjoy this, and this I think is better than Slither and American Psycho, so I would put it in the S tier. Oh, hi, Kitty. You look
same as yours. He looks like yours.
All right.
Clint, you want to you just want love? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you go.
Well, so yeah, I think that there might be a solid enough argument to maybe have it like a low S. I kind of feel like so. I mean,
Okay.
I'd be right just leaving it there. Yeah. So.
All right, Jordan. What's your Hail Mary? What do you got?
So I mean, I'm debating over a couple different ones because there's definitely some that I would put in the S tier. I'm just wondering if we're gonna get enough agreement from the rest of the group on it. So I'm just like trying to decide between a couple here, but probably, oh gosh, probably gonna go with The Hills Have Eyes for me. So like,
God damn
yeah,
it.
so that movie absolutely like terrified me, gave me like legitimate nightmares, like the whole entire vibe of the movie. Like they break down and end up in this crazy town with just these crazy like just messed up mutant people that are like doing horrible things to them, and like it just scared me so bad. Like I've not gone back to rewatch it because I'm like legitimately nervous to go back and rewatch it. I think for how much it actually scared me, I would give it an S tier just because like it's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. So yeah, I'd say S tier, but we'll see what you guys think. What do you think, Shauna?
Yes, that was the other one. That was my one. Thank you for that. But yeah, that's my favorite horror film. It's what got me into horrors, I think.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Love it. Yeah. S tier all the way. So good.
All right.
So creepy. Yeah. Damn, now I have to think of another one.
Yeah. You stole yours.
Yeah, you did.
All right.
My phone is open. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I like the Hills Have Eyes remake. It's a solid remake. I think it's almost on the same level as the Wes Craven original. I like them both about the same, which is to say I like them a lot, but don't absolutely adore them. It's a brutal movie. And I think Alexander, is it Aja, something like that? Who also made Prom 3D. I really like him as a horror filmmaker. I think he's really good. It's a lot better than what I expected going into it, and I've revisited it once or twice over the years. But to say it's on the same level as like Drag Me to Hell and American Psycho and Frailty for me is like no way. I'm sorry. It's a good remake, but man, to say it's on the same level as those to me is stretching it just a little bit for me, a little too much.
All right, fair enough. Well, what do you think, Anthony?
I feel bad doing this because one, I know Shauna really likes this movie, and she has my cat's doppelganger, and we've been on a lot of things so far tonight. However, I would put this more in a B realm. I enjoyed the movie, but it didn't do it for me. It felt like it was the remake style where it's like, let's make it more gory. Let's make it more effed up to make it more interesting for the modern audience. So that kind of took me away from it. I liked the idea. It's still not a bad movie in any way, shape, or form. It is not Amityville Horror, like I said. But I would put it in a B realm. I like stuff like Jennifer's Body, Orphanage, Devil's Rejects more than that. But it's probably around a little better than The Ring, I would say. So I'd put it in.
Yeah, B level for me too. Yeah. But Mark, what do you got? You may be the tiebreaker, Mark. What do you got?
Yeah.
I'd have to put it in a high B level also. That I was very pleasantly surprised when I saw this because I went in with low expectations. I think they did enough interesting reinvention of the existing material, that it didn't feel like just a straight by the numbers remake. And I like both this and the second Hills Have Eyes remake that followed. But I have to agree with him that that there's other A-level horror films that I like that just have more originality to them than this one did. That I feel like that exceeded my expectations, but it's still, I would not put it in the same class.
All right, yeah. So it kind of seems like the consensus is maybe about a high B. I feel like it might be
high B or low A, because we had two S's and 3 B's, so I think low A is kind of a fair compromise.
Low A. Sorry,
you can do that. Yeah. I'd be all right with that. But so now I kind of just open it up. So like I'm just gonna just do a little scroll down, and if anyone sees anything that they can make a solid argument, we're not really going to go into.
Well, hang on. We started the Hail Mary round with Anthony, so let's go to Shauna and myself and let everybody get their last Hail Marys, and then maybe we'll do some very quick rankings. All right, we'll do some very quick, like 30-second rankings, just around the horn, really, really fast. But let's let Shauna get her last Hail Mary for anything she wants to nominate.
Totally, yeah. So what do you got, Shauna?
Okay.
Get one more crack at it.
Probably gonna laugh at me at this one, but I loved this film so much. Like, loved it, and it did scare me a little bit in some places. Like, right, but I just loved the film itself. Okay, so Signs, I just loved it. So I know it's not like crazy scary and stuff, but like one of my favorite films. So I'm just gonna put that out there.
All right, yeah. Okay. What do you think, Austin?
Signs for me is it's like a strong B for me. I like it a lot. Unfortunately, I don't think it's aged very well. It hasn't held up as well on repeated viewings, because when you start to nitpick it and go, okay, the aliens don't like water, but they came to a planet that's mostly water. That doesn't make any sense. That's silly.
Yeah.
But I've also enjoyed the interpretations and some of the fan theories that they're actually like the religious aspect, that they're demons and that it was actually holy water they were shooting on them, and that they were, in the religious aspect. So I love that you can play around with this movie and some of the theories. I don't think it's Shyamalan's strongest movie. I think it's kind of right middle of the road. Sixth Sense and Unbreakable are better movies, so I can't put it in S level. To me, it's like a strong B. So I can't put it on the same level as some of that other stuff up there. Not at all.
All right, Anthony. What do you think of Signs?
Yeah, if you go with the demon theory, I'd put it in a B realm. If you go with they're aliens that came on a planet filled with water, I'm just throwing it. I'm going to throw it into not horror movie area.
Yeah.
You say that,
I mean, I feel bad doing this because when this movie first came out, I was like, "This movie's really well done. It's incredible. It's super good." And then you watch it again, you're like, holy crap, this thing has plot holes.
Over the place. Yeah.
So I'll throw it in the B as the demon holy water type scenario, because I'm trying to be nice about it. But if it was the situation, because it's not a horror movie, I apologize.
It is scary a little bit. The hand,
the one like Brazil or whatever that was, that one got me. Like when that alien comes out, you're like, all right.
Oh no, the scene where he's watching the video in the closet and it pops out of the party. Like I love that scene. That scene's amazing. Yeah, it's so good. And he jumps back. It's great. But Marc, what do you think?
Maybe not like an S tier one, but I did like that.
It's your Shauna. It's your Hail Mary. If you love it, that's perfectly fine. It's your opinion, and you can love what you want to love. But that's the fun thing about the show is we're going to disagree, but it doesn't diminish your opinion. Like if you think it's an S level, that's awesome, and I celebrate that. So I mean, have fun.
Actually, you would really regret being on the show with me.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah.
Oh, Marc. Okay, it's to me. I'm in the B camp as well. That I saw this when it first came out. I haven't revisited it since. I enjoyed it on the first viewing. I do feel like it does not hold up to the refrigerator test. I feel like that it all of the best Shyamalan movies have a strain of sadness through them, and I feel like this kind of pales in comparison to Unbreakable and Sixth Sense, and even to an extent The Village. Like The Village is the movie where everyone got off the Shyamalan train, and I feel like if you stop thinking about the reveal of The Village and think about the totality of The Village and what the reveal says about what the futility of trying to escape trauma, then it's actually a better film than Signs.
No, I didn't like The Village.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, like, I'm almost like, I'd say that I have to agree with Anthony. Like, I almost want to say that it's not a horror movie, but I mean, but like, and for that, like I still love this movie though. Like, I'd give it a solid A tier as an overall movie. But if we're talking straight horror, like I got to give it at least like a C, because I just don't really think that it's really much of a horror movie. But I mean, I remember going to see it with my brother, and like he was legitimately terrified of this movie. And just to give you a little context, is that. So I grew up in a very conservative family where my parents didn't allow us to watch R-rated movies, and I didn't really watch very many R-rated movies. So I was about 17, 18 years old. And even then it was like a slow build into horror movies. So a lot of my holes in my viewing are a lot of R-rated movies that I just didn't really grow up watching. But there's only PG-13. And so it was one of the ones I was able to go see, and I was just kind of didn't really scare me too much. But for some reason I remember like my younger brother, he was probably maybe 13, 14 at the time when he saw it. And like, he was really terrified when he saw it. So, I mean, I would give it probably a C as an overall horror movie. So, I mean, so I'm not really sure where we want to average it. I mean, maybe B sounds about right.
A little B sounds fair.
Yeah. So I think that's about fair. Sorry, Shauna, but
don't seem too happy about it, lads. Like,
I'm straight upset now. Like, that's
right.
What this is.
It is. No, it's fair.
I was going to put
Looking
it
at the
above
list,
if it makes you feel any better.
No, not at all. I'm joking.
I'd be all right with that. I mean, yeah, I could do that. There you go.
Sure.
But all right, Austin. So you got a Hail Mary.
All right. So my last one. I'm not going to argue for S tier. But I'm going to try to get it in the A tier with my argument. I have to show love for a franchise that I just adore, and I've gone back to so many times because it's so much fun. But the first movie in the franchise still takes itself fairly seriously, and I think it's very effective, and that's Final Destination. I'm going to throw my Hail Mary for Final Destination.
Yeah.
Yeah. Down at the bottom, yeah. So I'm not trying to argue for S tier, just to make that clear. I'm not.
Okay.
But the creativity of this movie and the franchise, but I'm going to try to keep it to this movie. It's so, the way it was just such an original idea of just this concept of death coming to get you. And the fact that they cheat the death at the beginning, and they're trying to figure out ways to beat death and to basically delay the inevitable in our lives, which is death. And the fact that this entity they don't try to explain it too much. It's just, there's something out there that's coming for them, and no matter what they do, it's going to come get you through these crazy Rube Goldberg experiment, kills. I think it's super, but to me, that's what makes it so creative and so much fun. Is just, you're going like, okay, how's the final kill going to happen? Because like, he might slip on this, or this thing might open up, or this thing might happen, or this thing might happen. And like, you're trying to figure it out as it goes along. And I just think it's really solid. It's got a nice young cast of Devin Sawa and Ali Larder and Sean William Scott. And then you got Tony Todd, who's always amazing, playing this like really creepy coroner who's really fun. I adore Final Destination so much. I love the franchise. I think the first movie is actually aged very, very well when you go back to it. So again, I'm not arguing for S tier, maybe like a low A, but I'm just trying to get it out there. I got to show some love to Final Destination.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. What do you think, Anthony, for Final Destination?
Man, there's like 3 others on this list. I'm really regretting doing Amityville Horror for F. Final Destination is a good movie. I'm not going to deny it's good. It's very, like you said, the kills are very creative. They're fun. but I feel like the best part about Final Destination is the way Final Destination 5 ended, or the Final Destination, whatever the hell it was called. I don't know. There's like 15, all three of them.
The circle back. Yeah, I love it.
Like that was the best part of the whole franchise was how they did that. I mean, the movie itself is fine. Very much not like watching a plane explode is not cool for me because that's kind of my job and that would absolutely destroy me for life. But it's a good movie. I don't know if I put it in A. It definitely created a very interesting franchise and it definitely started a trend of these, like you said, Rube Goldberg type of murder situations. It's either going if it's going in A, I'd put it above The Hills Have Eyes. I like it more than that. That would probably be in my realm.
No, for me, it's below. I like Devil's Rejects more, so I can't put it above Devil's Rejects. But I think it's better than The Hills Have Eyes for me personally. Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm arguing for low A because I love Devil's Rejects way more. But yeah,
I would allow that. But you do not put that above The Orphanage because I'm aiming for that for us at some point.
No, that's fine.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Mark, what do you think about?
I think I watched this on Blu-ray, but I don't think I gave it my full attention. I think I was in a situation where I had the Blu-ray and I knew I needed to sell it off along with a bunch of other stuff to make rent. So it was like, okay, I'm going to watch this and then I'm going to sell it. And so I think based off of respect for the franchise, I need to abstain. I didn't give the movie my full attention, so I can't give it an honest assessment.
Yeah, the franchise gets sillier as it goes along. I think the first movie takes it a little more seriously and tries to take a more kind of grounded approach, as grounded as you can be with a death entity coming about after you. But as far as it gets way more over the top and silly when you get to 3 and 4, that sort of thing. But I think the original one is fun.
I remember aspects of it. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it, but I don't want to be casually dismissive of it either. I mean, I would probably, rank it if I had to rank my memory of it, I'd rank it at a B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, I think that I absolutely love Final Destination. I would actually make an argument for S tier. I love Final Destination. But the reason why I say S tier is because when I saw the movie, I went in with expectation. This is just going to be super campy, super cheesy. It's just going to be just kind of over the top, and you kind of have to just roll with the cheesiness and just kind of turn your brain off and just realize a lot of it doesn't really make sense. But all these things keep happening to these people, and I love the movie, and it's super rewatchable to me. I probably watch at least one movie from the Final Destination franchise at least once a year, and so I have a lot of fun with them. So I totally get the argument for A tier, but I could see it being the S tier on my own personal list. But I mean, yeah, that's just me. But
okay.
But what do you think, Shauna, for Final Destination?
So I do like the concept of it. I do. I like the whole that something's coming for you and you can't get away from it, and that if it misses one of them, I did like it, and I like the way it tied in and stuff at the end. But I can never ever ever go on a sunbed ever again, ever.
Yeah, right.
Ever and if I find it difficult to watch because of moments that in it, it's oh my god, yeah. So I don't know. I would put it at B for me. I would watch it if it's on though. I wouldn't turn it off if it's on. It's on TV or something, I wouldn't turn off. But yeah, B.
Yeah, right.
Still likes it.
So I think low A is kind of the consensus. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, right.
Low A is fair.
Yeah. Okay, that is fair.
It's fair enough. I mean, I'll leave it where it's at. I mean, that's fair enough.
Sure.
So, yeah. But
are we ready to play the shuffling game? Yeah.
Yes.
Here's the fun part. Here's the fun part where we get to really have some arguments. Yeah, this is the really fun part.
Drastically missed 2 movies on this list. Drastically missed 2.
Yeah, I had a couple of S tiers that I didn't get to, but
yeah.
So we want to have a solid 10 in the S tier, and we can pull things out of the ones we haven't talked about. If you want to give any shout outs too, for me, I'd make a pretty solid argument for Trick or Treat.
Yes,
that's one that I really love, and so that's just me. But does anyone else have anything else? I mean, or do you want to go for Trick or Treat? We could throw it up.
Trick or Treat, I agree with the other one I had on my mind was Let the Right One In.
I had that on my S tier as well.
brilliant movie. That
Yeah,
is
that's pretty good.
so well done. That one
never
is
seen
better
it.
than a lot of what we've discussed.
Yeah.
The remake is it's good but not great. But the original is absolutely brilliant and a really good vampire movie. I think that deserves S tier.
Yes,
Yeah, for sure. So like, what do you guys think? So we got 2 votes for S tier. I've never seen it, so I can't say anything about it. But would you guys agree? Would you put it in S tier?
Low A for me, just because I don't think it has a lot of rewatchability, and I've never gone back to it since I saw it in the theater. I think it's got a nice atmosphere, but it doesn't have a lot of horror elements to it. It's more of just this relationship between the kid and the vampire. But just to me personally, I'm not saying it's not well done. I'm not arguing that at all. It's very, very well done. It's better than the remake for sure. But to me, it doesn't have a lot to go back to for me personally. So it's like A-level, middle A-level for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be fair, because I like the movie a lot, but I'm trying to be,
It's not a go back to horror movie. It's one of those movies you watch and it's just a well done.
Just for me, when I talk about S level, and this is just my history of the show, a big part of S level for me is like, and strong A level is can you go back to it and enjoy it multiple times? Just for me personally. So not necessarily on entertainment level, but can you get something out of it every time you watch it? You know what I mean? And I think I got almost everything I needed to get out of Let the Right One in the first time I watched it. Just for me personally.
Well, would you rank it above like any of these movies? Like if you were to put it on the A tier,
I'm not putting it above Devil's Rejects because I've watched that movie 40 times. I love it.
Right.
So yeah, not for me.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And again, it's just personal taste, not above Final Destination because I've watched that many, many times. But that's But
at the same time,
I don't know.
We have a couple of arguments for the S tier. Have you ever seen it, Shauna? Have you seen this movie?
Yeah, I'd put it above Final Destination. I wouldn't put it above Hills of Eyes. I don't know why Hills of Eyes is down there, but that's fine.
Right.
I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it there. I'd put it. I don't know. I really did like that. I would have said S. I don't know. I liked Hills of Eyes better. So low A.
I'm gonna leave it in
the lowest of the A. Hang on, which one?
Probably in the A tier for now, but like we're not finished with it. It still could move up, but what do you guys think? I think a Trick or Treat though. So for me, the first time that I saw it, like,
yeah, I loved this.
Yeah,
I actually hated it the first time that I saw it, and went in with like really like way too high of expectation, and then on a rewatch, I actually loved it. Like it's one of those movies where like I didn't like it the first time, and I rewatched it with like a different mindset, totally different mindset, where like it just was to be like a little campy, like just a great kind of slasher movie. There's some humor to it, and I absolutely loved it. So I mean, I would put it in the S tier for me. But what do you guys think?
I agree. Oh, but then again, is it better than like fucking?
Yeah, is it better than any of these movies?
I
don't know.
I don't think it's better than any some of those movies.
I don't think. I don't think it's better than 28 Days. Really? No.
I have not seen it, so I have to abstain.
I mean,
all right.
In my opinion, I think. Well, I mean, obviously, everyone is going to have a different opinion. I really enjoy this movie, and I think it is a perfect horror. I don't maybe as a horror movie, maybe it doesn't go S tier. As a Halloween movie, it is one of the top Halloween movies. I watch this almost every year because it is a perfect. It's like watching National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on Christmas or Muppets Christmas Carol. Obviously, I'm naming the ones I enjoy.
Yeah, nice.
It's like what?
Halloween version of that. So maybe it's horror. It doesn't belong up there. If you did a Halloween list and this was not an S tier, I'm coming on that panel and we're having words.
Yeah.
Right.
As a horror movie,
I enjoy Trick or Treat. It's a really fun anthology movie, but I have a hard time remembering stuff when I go back to it. Like it almost is like a fresh viewing every time I go back. I have a hard time. Like I think it kind of varies in quality. Some of the shorts are better than other ones. So it's not as strong as some of the other anthologies I've seen. I think it's fun, but I don't think it's better than some of the stuff in the A list right there. I think it's like high B, low A, just for me personally. I like it a lot, but I think it's been a tad. For me, it's been a tad overblown over the years about how great Trick or Treat is, just for me personally. I think it always gets like all this love, and I'm kind of like, I sort of agree, sort of don't.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll leave it in the A tier for now because I just want to see like, is there any other movies anyone can make any kind of argument for? Because because I'm not seeing.
I was gonna show some love for The Mist, but I don't think it's gonna make the cut. But only because I think it's pretty daring. But other than that, no, I don't have to.
I was going to argue S tier for Cloverfield. I feel like it was a really effective monster movie that kept you in suspense in terms of how it revealed its material and still had a human element that kept you interested in between rampages.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah, for me personally, like I hated Cloverfield, honestly. Like, sorry,
Okay.
and not to go against you or anything, but like the way that they just didn't really show the monster, and like they just had these people kind of running around with a bunch of found footage. I was just like, when I went and saw it, I'm like, what is this? Is this even a movie? I'm like, this is just like someone's home movie camera, and you're not seeing any kind of monster.
Like the Blair Witch Project.
You have to be you have to be a found footage fan. You have to be a found footage fan to like. Mark, I agree that when I saw it in the theater, it was one of the most fun theater experiences I've ever had because I saw it at midnight in a theater, and like that sequence where the monster starts attacking on the street and then they have to go into the subway was like, whoa, like holy crap! Like it puts you right there in the action. It's a lot of fun. I love monster movies. Like I'm a big kaiju movie fan, so I dig that kind of stuff. And I'm a big proponent of Cloverfield. I wasn't going to really argue it for S tier because I thought I was going to get overblown and just completely be like, what are you, crazy? Are you nuts? But like I like it. I love Cloverfield. Like I'm a big fan of Cloverfield, but I don't know. Like to me, it's like a strong A. I could argue for a strong A.
Fair enough.
Cloverfield, me personally, yeah. I'm with you on the love for it. I like Cloverfield a lot.
Makes sense. I think there's S's and A's are pretty solid because the only things I was going to talk about are stuff that I love, and they are definitely not A or S movies, and they are basically just they're garbage that I enjoy.
Sure, yeah.
I just enjoy those, but they're not.
Yeah, I like a lot of these movies on these lists, but I can't argue for them. Like a lot of them are like, if we ranked them, it'd be like really strong B's or something. You know, like they're good, but they're not like overly amazing, like best of all time. But I like a lot of the movies on this list. Most of them. But yeah,
like we were talking about like the craziest ending for a movie ever. I definitely put The Mist in the S tier for the ending alone, but the rest of them is kind of end to me. So
can I say my theory about the Mist is a happy ending? By the way, a lot of people don't realize that.
Really?
Can I explain? Can I explain?
Sure.
Yeah. Can I explain why? Because humanity defeats the monsters. We stop the global threat. It's just you have to look at the big picture. You have to look at the big picture. It sucks for Thomas Jane, but you got to look at the big picture. It's a happy ending.
Yeah, but the big picture could have still occurred without him murdering 5 different people.
Well, again, it sucks for him and his family, but humanity stopped the global threat of these crazy monsters, and so it's a happy ending for Earth. You know,
I suppose.
That's also, I'm just saying, for a majority of the population, it's a happy ending, just not for him personally. If you look at it from a different perspective, that's all I'm saying. For The Mist.
And also, I freaking hate Marcia Gay Harden in that movie. She annoys the hell out of me. I can't stand all her little preaching, like just yelling out random weird stuff. I'm just like,
I think she's a great villain.
I hope
she's
lady
awesome.
dies. I hope she gets out of here. Like, oh, it's annoying.
It's pretty realistic as far as what would happen though. People turning on each other in a situation like that. It's definitely realistic in that aspect. Just people, just reverting to us versus them, or me versus you, and how to approach the situation for sure. But no, I'm not. Yeah, we can leave it off. It's fine.
Right.
Don't worry about that.
Well, I think that basically we're probably gonna
let's see.
A's up to S tier. So I definitely feel like we're probably gonna move up American Psycho. I kind of feel like that one maybe belongs there. So that one's one of the highest on the list, if you would agree. So, and then probably I don't know, if you guys have any other ones, maybe Slither, maybe Insidious. I don't know.
I feel like Devil's Reject should at least be number 10. I feel like it should at least edge in there because it's Zombie's best movie, and I think it holds up extremely, extremely well on rewatches. Yeah. It's very rewatchable for me. So I'm not going to argue for it being 3 or 4 or 5, anything like that, but I feel like it has to eke in there at least at number 10.
I definitely
be okay.
Thought
just having it at the number 10 spot. I wouldn't put any higher.
I won't object to number 10 either.
Yeah.
I think that Insidious needs to be up there as well, just for being one of the most scary films in the world.
I could make an argument for Insidious, for pure scares and jumps. I could make it. I could put it a number 9 or 8. 8 or
Yeah,
9.
yeah.
I think
Maybe
it's
a
fair.
9, and then yeah. Okay.
And then also too, I don't really think the Descent's number 2. I mean, we can have an argument for it being
And then,
there, but
to be fair
but
to Anthony and Mark, I would be okay with you putting Let the Right One in at number 9 for the sheer filmmaking and the strong writing and all that. I'd be okay with that.
I like that as well.
Yeah, I like the Orphanage better than Let the Right One In.
Oh, the
okay.
Orphanage.
As a movie.
Hey, Anthony, I was trying to throw you a bone, man. Come on now.
Don't worry. Either way, you're throwing me a bone. You pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Bone's coming my direction.
Yeah.
Either way.
Okay.
Yeah, one way or another, the foreigners are going to get thrown a bone.
Yes.
Yeah, foreigners
right.
will get a bone. So y'all may have to argue about whether you want Orphanage or Let the Right One In up there, but yeah, around near the bottom of the 10.
yeah, and I kind of.
I haven't seen The Orphanage, so I can't comment on that one.
I haven't seen either one, but you're saying you like The Orphanage better, so I mean, maybe The Orphanage goes.
I'd say the Orphanage as well. Just
I go
saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mark,
So,
The
yeah, we
Orphanage
can
or
go
Let
with
the Right One In?
I'm going to go with the majority on this one and stick with Orphanage.
Okay. Well, here's
right.
the thing. Let the Right One In. We always have a top 10 on the poll with 3 honorable mentions. Let the Right One In could be one of the honorable mentions. You can put that in there for sure. And I say along with Slither for how much fun it is, could be an honorable mention. I think it's fair.
Yeah, for sure.
And then if you guys want to argue either like Strangers or Jennifer's Body or Trick or Treat for the 3rd honorable mention, I'd be okay with that.
Strangers is good.
Yeah.
I think those 3 is honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Strangers
You think
is
those
much more
3 are fair?
scarier than Jennifer's Body, like, you know. So
Okay.
yeah,
Fair enough.
If we had Shauna Whether I think Jennifer's Body's kind of in that realm of the campy horror.
The kind of shitty horrors that I absolutely love. Yeah.
Well, we've got representation for like comedy horror with Shaun of the Dead. It's strongly represented in the top 10.
Yeah.
So, and we all kind of agreed on that. So, I think we got a nice array in S tier of all different types of horror genres and subgenres. Because you get, look at that. We got comedy horror. We got 2 sort of different zombie movies. We've got some family paranoia horror. We've got some character horror with American Psycho. You've got this claustrophobic primal horror with The Descent. You've got another fun, kind of sort of goofy, but sort of scary Drag Me to Hell. You've got jump scary, kind of more modern horror with Insidious. You've got foreign horror with Orphanage. And you've got revenge grindhouse horror with Devil's Rejects. I think it's a solid like mix of all different types of genres. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I can't object.
I think that's a solid list, just how it is. I think it's ranked good and everything. Like I think
it's ranked pretty good. Yeah, and we can let the fans decide from there in the poll. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, lock it in.
Yeah, so
all right.
Yeah, so I'm going to throw it in the Showdown Friends and Family group. It'll be over there. So we're going to have all the top 10 plus our 3 honorable mentions here. So yeah, that'll do it. So I don't know if Austin, if you want to kind of just break down the top 10, just kind of shout them all out.
Yeah, so as of right now, we've got Shaun of the Dead at number 1, 28 Days Later, number 2. We got Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead at number 3. We've got the late, great Bill Paxton and his directorial movie Frailty at number 4. We've got Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell at number 5. We've got American Psycho at 6. The Descent at 7. We've got James Wan's Insidious at number 8. We've got The Orphanage at 9. Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects at number 10. And we've got a little foreign representation some more with Let the Right One In. We got James Gunn's Slither and The Strangers rounding out our honorable mentions. So I think it's a very good list here. We've kind of covered it. Good job, everybody.
That was smooth.
That was.
Yeah. Yeah. He always asks me to do that at the end just to kind of level it well.
Yeah, right.
And unlike the Ring remake, this has been 2.5 hours. That's felt like an hour.
Yeah.
It's flown by. I loved it. Every second.
Here. It's 4:20.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Go celebrate.
Right now. I'm definitely going to celebrate with something anyway.
If you have to cut out, I understand. You can cut out, Shauna, if you're tired. I understand.
No. It's fine. I'm wired.
Okay. All right.
I got you. Sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep is what I'm going to sleep. I know
That's what I'm going to do.
It's not that late here.
So that'll do it.
What time is it where you guys are?
11:30, but I also have to work at 6 o'clock tomorrow. So,
man, I've had that before on this show, Anthony. So yeah, get that 4 or 5 hours sleep. It is what it is. But we had fun. It's a lot of fun.
This was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was great, guys.
It's only 8:30 here on the West Coast, so I got a little time.
I think it just shows how much fun the horror genre can be, that we can all just talk about these great horror movies that we personally have our taste for certain subgenres and what we love and maybe what we don't love. But the fact that the horror genre again is so varied in content and directors and the things you can do with the genre is just so cool. It's what sets it apart, I think, from other genres. You know, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of proven that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Horror movies are like pizza. When they're good, they're great, and when they're bad, they're still kind of good.
They're
still gonna eat.
Yeah, still kind of good.
Yeah.
It's still fun.
I'm stealing like half of the just one-liners you have said. Like half the quotes you said, I'm stealing.
Yeah. Exactly. You can still enjoy it the next morning, right?
Yeah.
That's what she said. Anyway, right?
Exactly. But yeah, so the goal is to do one of these a month. So I think probably about the 3rd or 4th week of May, we're going to be covering 80s horror. So if anyone wants back to do some of that,
now that might be even
all
tougher than
invited.
2000s, to be honest, because there's much great 80s horror. To me, that was the best decade of horror. Just we got so many crazy horror movies. It's just it's the best. It's just bonkers stuff in there, man, all over the place. So that was gonna be tough, like really, really tough.
Yep. So it should be a good time. So yeah, if anyone wants in, you can let me know, and I'll save a spot for you, because I like to keep a little bit of a similar panel just going forward, because we want to rank all of them, and then we're going to do that championship round near Halloween time. So yeah, it should be fun. So
hey, we got to have our horror free for all from the Schmodown MVP on that show. I mean, Marc, you got to come back for that, man. I mean,
yeah, right.
You're the MVP of the horror free for all, man. You deserve to be on this thing. And I have a feeling the older horror movies are more your jam as far as the stuff you've seen. So yeah,
I do lean a little more 70s and 80s, but again. I'm an omnivore. I haven't seen as many of the ones from the noughts and the teens, but if someone's gonna pump up the tires, I'll ride the bike.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, hopefully we gave you some new recommendations for some of the ones you haven't seen.
Well,
so that's always fun to get some good recommendations.
Quite a few that have been on my list that I haven't gotten around to that
awesome.
I need to pump up in the queue.
Good. Cool.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so that'll do it. So I'm just gonna go on the horn, and if you have anything you want to promote, now's the time. So Marc, where can the people find you?
Well, first off, you can find me on Twitter at THE_HOYK. That's the phonetic pronunciation of. Yeah, I know. I have that effect on people. Heuck, that is the phonetic pronunciation of my name. I also do a bi-weekly podcast on Patreon with B. Peterson, who has the Screens Margins network of podcasts. So we do a bi-weekly podcast devoted to the pioneering female director Dorothy Arzner. I have a blog called The Projector Has Been Drinking. You can find that at projectorhasbeendrinking.com.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have a essay I wrote there recently about the forgotten 80s actress Rainbow Harvest, who appeared in the underrated 1990 horror film Mirror, Mirror. That's one of my favorite bits of writing. And I'm just a general pain in the ass movie man about town.
Nice. Right. Sounds pretty good. Yeah. And then Anthony, where can we find you?
I'm all over the place in a lot of the fan leagues. You can find me anywhere. Twitter, I am under Gettin, Gettin, Tizzy, Tizzy, aka just like getting jiggy with it, except it's just getting Tizzy.
Okay.
Basically, you can find me there. You can find me on Feature Presentation Presents, which is one of my good friends' fan leagues. He does a lot of stuff there, fantasy film fights. I'm on there pretty often. And then Opening Night Trivia League, I help write questions, I host, I play, and I also have my own show called Working Title, where basically when Clint doesn't get in my way, I give people guidelines and they pitch me a movie. So I'll give you a couple things to do, and then you come on and you pitch me a movie, you give me a cast, and you play against somebody else. It's all for fun, just entertainment. Anyone can do it. So, but that's pretty much it. I'm everywhere.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You hit me on. If you look up my name on YouTube, you will find me literally all over the place.
All right, perfect. And then Shauna, where can we find you?
No, I'm just gonna put my Instagram handle in, and then you can kind of follow me on that. And then I'm
All
going
right,
to be
yeah.
in a pageant this year called Miss Bikini Ireland. It's kind of like taking place. The 2021, we're kind of doing it together because obviously the lockdown. So everybody can vote for me on that then if you follow me on Instagram. So you can put my Instagram handle in it, like Shauna Coughlin 91. You're not going to be able to spell that. So if you want to just
right.
yeah. And that's me. Don't really have a lot going on other than that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely have to check that out. Yeah. Give you some votes there.
Everything else is quite
sure.
inappropriate. So doing.
Right. But Austin, where can we find you?
Movie Hero Pez on Twitter is my most recent Twitter handle. You mostly find me on this network, on the Movie Hero channel here on YouTube. Jordan and I co-host a show with him called Live from Movie Hero, where we talk about classic SNL episodes. So we've been breaking down SNL episodes from the past, and this upcoming week we're going to be talking about, we're chugging through season 12 back in '86 one by one. So we're talking about season 12 with Paul Schaefer and as a host, and then we're also starting to do theme episodes for our other one. We always break down 2 episodes, and this week's theme, Britney Spears has been in the news a lot recently, so we're talking about 2002 when she hosted SNL season 27 with Britney Spears. So we're going to go back and talk about that one. But we always have kind of a theme every week. Last week we talked about an episode with Matthew Broderick because he was in that horrible Godzilla movie, talking about Godzilla versus Kong. So we kind of tied it in with that. So that's what we do. So Live from Movie Hero Pez. And I have to mention, I talked about it a little bit before we went on the air. Marc, you're a personal movie geek hero of mine, and it's an honor to talk horror movies with you. This has been like a dream come true for me because I was 16 when Beat the Geeks came on. I love the show, and I know you talked about how I might have been one of the few people who watched it, but I loved it and I adored it, and you made an impact on my life. So thank you so much. This is an honor.
Thank you. That was the best experience of my life making that TV show. I made a lot of friends that I'm lucky to still have to this day, and I'm glad that people still remember it. And I also I still can't get over the fact that if you rearrange the letters of Britney Spears, you get Presbyterians.
Jesus Christ! I didn't know that.
Yep, sure.
There you go.
But I was super excited. I was super excited when I heard you were joining the Schmodown. Like, I got super excited. I was like, oh my God, the Movie Geek's going to be on the Schmodown. Like, that's so cool. And I've just been a big fan of yours. And if we could, it would be an honor to come back on and talk more horror movies with you in the future. So I hope you'll come back. This would be great.
Looking forward.
Yep, awesome. You're always welcome. So, and for me, you can find me all over the Movie Hero Network. So we're actually going to be doing another one of these tier ranker fights this upcoming Tuesday night, and we got a pretty cool lineup for that. We're going to be doing best and worst action movie heroes. So we're going to have Tom Dagnino, John Kaiser, Eric Zipper, and then we got this guy Strange Wang is his name. We're from the Gucci verse, so it's going to be a pretty solid lineup. So we're really looking forward to that one because those guys are like all about the action movies and stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. So we got that going, and then you can find me all over the Schmodown Friends and Family Network. We definitely talk a lot of Schmodown over there, and also if you have anything you want to self promote, if you have a YouTube channel that you're working on or any kind of a project, we're definitely all about self-promotion over there, so you can post to your heart's content over there. And I would try and give people a shout out on my own personal social media. So so that's where you can find me, and definitely all over Facebook and YouTube. I'm all over both of those. I don't really do much other social media. But that's it. So for Austin, for Shauna, for Anthony, for Marc, I've been Jordan Movie Hero Anderson, and we will see you next time.